Having witnessed his parents' brutal murder as a child, millionaire philanthropist Bruce Wayne fights crime in Gotham City, disguised as Batman, a costume hero who strikes fear into the hearts of villains. But when a deformed madman who calls himself the Joker seizes control of Gotham's criminal underworld, Batman must face his greatest nemesis ever while protecting both his identity and his love for interest reporter Vicky Vale. Welcome to another feature presentation of Midnight Double Feature, and on this episode we'll be covering 1989's Batman, directed by Tim Burton. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our Batman 1989 episode. We're excited to be here, excited to talk about one of the biggest comic book movies of all time, the Robin or Alfred or Batgirl or whoever to my Batman. So how about Lee?
I prefer Harvey Dent, especially in this movie. So, by the way, I'm pretty sure that is the exact same way we started the Batman Returns podcast.
Oh, really? That's like 4 years ago.
Yeah, it started with you doing the Elfman. I'm pretty sure. I might be incorrect, but I'm good, man. How you doing? What's happening?
Nothing, man. Just excited to talk about this. It's been a while, a really long time since we dipped into Burton's whole Batman verse. What little, 2 films there are. But if this is your first time checking out the show, which it very well might be, considering how big of a movie this is, if you guys want to check out more of our stuff, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/Midnight Double Feature. There you can find the Green Room. It's going to be $5 a month. You get 2 extra episodes every month. There's some bonus stuff in there. There's episodes that are not available to the general public. There's top 5 movies we walked out of. There's movies we'd love to see remade. We have a lot of lists and also cover...
There's 70 episodes on there.
$5. You get 70 episodes as of right now. If you sign up, again, that's patreon.com/Midnight Double Feature. All the rest of our socials are in the show notes if you guys want to find us. We go and mainly the after party on Facebook. We have a lot of people in there. We post like reviews and memes and stuff like that, and everybody has a really good time. But with that out of the way, Batman 1989. Wow. It's been, I don't know, like 3 or 4 years since we've done we did Returns first, which a lot of people would be like, what the fuck? That's my preferred Batman of these two. I love Batman Returns. So much so that I had not watched this in a really, really long time. Actually sat down and watched it. I'd put it on in the background, like vacuum, or I'd put it on at night to go to sleep or something, something comforting that like the back of your hand. But yeah, I kind of forgot about this movie, to be honest. I know that sounds crazy, but it was so big that it's kind of like the moon. You just kind of like, yeah, it's there, whatever. And it's like you take it for granted and you kind of forget about it. But before we get into all of my thoughts, because we are going to go through this movie from A to Z, we are going to talk about it sequentially. There is an E on this motherfucker for a reason. What are your thoughts and feelings, Batman 89? Because we've only ever talked about the Keaton verse once, and with him coming back for the Flash, it just seemed like an opportune time. Strike while the hammer's hot. We haven't talked about these in forever, and it's a huge movie to tackle. It's not one of my top 5 favorites or anything, but it is a mammoth movie to try to tackle and to cover. But first, before we can get into that, I just want to know your history and how you first saw it and what did you think of it?
Yeah, so this one's quite interesting because I feel like Batman, the movies, Batman and Robin and Batman Forever were always in my life.
Same.
Like I very much like Star Wars. I feel like those 2 movies, I can't pinpoint when the first time I picked those up were, and because I actually, as a kid, I really enjoyed those 2 Schumacher movies. Because that's who they're mainly aimed for, right? Like those much more attractive to young children. Bright colors, the music. It's all the
oh yeah, camp. I was a fan.
But yeah, we should do Forever as a bonus. I really like Forever
at some point. Even to talk about like the whole other version there is like this red book version. I don't know. I'm interested to see it and check that out.
Right. Yeah, we can talk about the feud between Tommy Lee Jones and Jim Carrey and all that stuff. And what does he say? I cannot fathom your buffoonery.
I cannot sanction your buffoonery.
I cannot sanction.
Yeah, that's fucking great. It's a direct quote from Tommy Lee Jones to Jim Carrey.
Right. But this one and Returns, they were kind of like a little bit off to the side for me, and I don't think it's because my parents recognize that they're a bit darker or anything like that. I think it's just because I and my brother gravitated more towards like the colorful stuff, and I always just thought, for Returns, I always just thought the Penguin was goofy, and it might have just been because 1989 Batman was too old, right? I mean, like as a kid, you're judging movies like that, you're just like, oh, that looks too old, like that looks a little too flimsy, like it's just
yeah,
I don't know,
he doesn't change bat
dated,
suits,
like,
there's
whatever.
not like two different Batmobiles, and yeah,
right, yeah, but obviously I've seen this over the years, and the first time I remember watching it in full was when I picked up the 4-pack Blu-ray. And I can't remember how old I was when I got that, but it's back when I had fucking disposable income. Because fucking hell, the 4-pack Blu-ray of Batman. Jesus Christ, Zohar, what the fuck are you thinking? Yeah, I remember watching it in full, and I kind of remember being blown away because I fell in love with Keaton's Batman, like Keaton's version of Batman, Keaton's Bruce Wayne, like just I've never seen a person play Batman. Sorry, I'm going to be very specific here. I've never seen a person play Bruce Wayne the way Michael Keaton's played Bruce Wayne. Like the sort of like somewhat shyness, but like the playful nature of him as well. And then, you want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. Like to this date, I think that's still applicable. I have never seen a Batman like his or a Bruce Wayne like his. Like when Vicky Vale and what's the other shit kicker's name?
Knox.
I can't remember. But Knox, yeah. When Vicky Vale and Knox are in that sort of like hall of like I guess what are they, statues or whatever, like his art collection sort of thing. And he's like sidling up behind them. He's looking up and like taking in like their observations and all of that. And he's just very like playful like that. And like even just like like later when we're at the dinner and like she's like, "Can you pass the salt?" And he's just like, "I come to think of it, I don't even think I've been in this room." Like I don't know, man. Like he's just incredibly likable, and it was just such a stroke of genius to cast someone so likable in this role. Like I mean, we can get into how see, this podcast is going to be very tough because we are obviously not the first people to cover this movie, and we both I know that you know of a podcast that has covered this in great detail by someone who is incredibly passionate about this movie. That being Chris Schrader from Hey Do You Remember, which was an incredible episode of podcasting. So I don't know, like we're going to be probably bringing up facts that are well covered already, or well covered in such in such efficient detail. But like like just the idea of this uproar that happened when Michael Keaton was announced as Batman, right? I mean, like it was just this whole thing. In fact, I was just listening to a podcast where they were just talking about like these like cyclical fandom sort of reactions to casting, and like you obviously had that in the Joker, like even like sometimes like Ben Affleck and like Gal Gadot and things like that. And every time things are announced and castings are announced, like currently we're waiting on who is going to be cast as the next Superman, right? So like I know there's a lot of eyes on that, and it's just one of those things of like there's always pushback. But if you have a director or a casting director or whatever who has the utmost faith in their actor, like I've never seen Mr. Mum, so I'm not really like familiar with like Keaton's sort of I guess pedigree before this movie, but he's just so incredibly likable, and they just like slot him into this role so well, so perfectly. But like there's also an air of like mystery behind him as
Yeah,
well. Like
he's
it's
got
just like
this
what's kind of going on here.
Goldblumness to him, of just like the kind of like,
Mm,
I don't know. There's always something going on behind the eyes.
right. So I was really enamored with Keaton when I first saw this, and obviously over the years it's kind of changed into this. Oh, this isn't Keaton's movie. This is Nicholson's movie. Like this is Keaton feels so secondary here, which is kind of fitting considering that Michael Keaton is second billed after Jack
Right? Yeah,
Nicholson.
I think
Like
there's
it's
more of the Joker in this movie than Batman as well. Like
I
I
think
feel
so too.
I might be
I think so
wrong, but
too. But like Nicholson's terrifying in this
yeah,
movie. Like just straight up like terrifying. Not only does it look like he's having the time of his life playing this role, like he looks like he's having so much fun. And Nicholson, that's not really something that I would say very much about Nicholson. Like he doesn't seem like a fun guy.
right. Yeah, he
Like,
doesn't. I don't know.
um,
I think you'd be surprised. Like I think there is definitely like a mischievous kind of side to him that he loves doing shit like this.
mm,
But yeah, but when you do something like, he kind of got typecast as like that asshole. As good as it gets, and the one with Tom
right.
Cruise and Demi Moore, A Few Good Men. Like he kind of gets typecast as
Yeah.
that stern, but then it's also he does goofy shit like this. And what is that movie? The Bucket List with Morgan Freeman. It's like a comedy, and it's so random, and he's so out of
Christ.
place in it. But yeah, I know what you mean. He's kind of typecast as this other person, especially after The Shining. I think that definitely
Yeah.
locked him in
Oh
as like a
yeah.
nut job.
But no, absolutely. But it's so refreshing to see him in a role like this. Like in terms of just like let's just go out and have fun, and I, he takes it so seriously. Like he looks like oh man, he's so
Hmm.
good. I mean,
Yeah,
newsflash,
right, right,
everyone. Like Nicholson's great in fucking the
right.
Batman. And I kind of wonder, and I don't really know the comic sort of like history of this, but like if you were to ask someone on the street who the Batman's villain is, I kind of wonder whether this film is the seminal reason that many people will answer with the Joker.
Yeah.
Like,
I think
like
it's one of, if you're looking at the royal flush of the hand, it's that Killing Joke. Um, uh,
mm, the
yeah.
Dark
Well, I
Knight.
was gonna say the Dark Knight, the Adam West Batman. Like
Oh,
I
right,
think it
right,
was
right. Yeah,
definitely Killing Joke and like Killing Joke, Dark Knight Returns, Watchmen, like that whole kind of era that really elevated this shit to a new
definitely.
height.
Definitely. Because before I watched this movie, I would have said it was Two Face.
Hmm.
I
Right.
mean, being a Batman Forever kid. So like, it's man, what else is there to say about this movie? It's just absolutely zeitgeist changing,
Yeah.
right? I mean, like it changed Hollywood and cinema forever for better or worse, right? No matter how you feel about the current
Yeah.
superhero
Definitely
boom,
both. Yeah.
right? I mean, yeah, like this is the movie. This is the one that kicked it off. Sure, you can argue that Richard Donner's Superman, right? I mean, like that is one that a lot of people kind of like turn to. But I think the modern superhero film owes a lot to
Yeah.
this. Owes a lot to this movie.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and I also think that when you're looking at something like Superman, like obviously Batman owes a small debt to Superman, but also because of where the Superman franchise was at the time of 1989, it was really starting to get goofy with like Superman 4 and the quest for
Right.
peace and shit like that. And in response to that, that's why this is deliberately dark. It's one of the factors, I think, but besides seeing it be successful in comic books and seeing fans really kind of eat that up, I think it helps that when you have stuff like Dark Knight Returns and Killing Joke, and then at the same time the Superman franchise is like, it's at the end of the 80s, and I think that there is kind of that, I don't know, that kind of a dark like cynicism of just the 80s kind of like greed and stuff like that, and that's one thing that I love about Gotham, like as a character, is just how fucking greedy it is, and just how it's a goddamn leech. Like, it never stops. Like, at any point there are almost no redeemable characters in Gotham. There's almost nobody who's good, and I think that's one of the things I love about this movie is, besides, like, even Commissioner Gordon, like, he's barely in it. He can't be in this movie. He's not the Batman of the daytime. Like, Batman needs that person like Harvey Dent that can walk the other side and still walk a straight line, and doesn't dip over into the illegal shit that he does. And Commissioner Gordon's just not that in this movie. I think I like you said, I can't really remember just kind of my origins with this really quick. I can't remember. It's always been there. Everybody had a t-shirt, everybody had a game, everybody had a comic book growing up. This came out the year before I was born. So it's, like you said, it's kind of always been there, and it's something a franchise that you take for granted for sure. And I vaguely remember Batman Forever coming out. I would have been 5, maybe 6. But I for sure remember Batman and Robin coming out. 100%. I was all over that as a second grader. I fucking loved it. But like you said, there's really no justice that we could do. There's no trivia that we can tell you, and there's no, thoughts that haven't been thought about this movie. But what I think is, obviously we're still going to get into some of our thoughts, but the thing that's so interesting to me is seeing it, like you said, the cyclical nature of seeing this come full circle, where, what are we, 34 years later, and we're seeing Michael Keaton return finally, and there's all these talks of Keaton taking over the role of Bruce in Batman Beyond, and then bringing in a Terry McGinnis character to become Batman in that.
God, let's do it, absolutely. Man. Honestly, just what took them so long?
I don't get it.
The answer was right there. Like, that is such inspired.
Yeah, I don't get it. Well, even if they were like, hey, we're not going to do a Batman Beyond movie or TV show, we're going to do an Arkham Knight type game, and Bruce Wayne will be Batman, or Bruce Wayne, or Michael Keaton will be Bruce Wayne, and I'm like, absolutely, I'm cool with that. I'm more than fine with that.
Well, am I wrong? But spoilers for Batman Beyond, but doesn't Bruce Wayne die in like the early stages of Batman Beyond, or is he the mentor all the way through? I
believe he's the mentor all the way through. I'm pretty sure.
Okay,
because they get into some crazy shenanigans with that show later on, and like where Terry actually came from, and blah blah blah. It's pretty interesting, but
I need Terry McGinnis. How have we got? It has to be coming, because I mean, sure, like we've got Miles Morales now. Like, we know that we can do different characters playing one sort of superhero, so like it has to be coming down the pipeline.
Absolutely.
Surely.
And to quote to quote Chris Trader from Hey You Remember, he's like, there is room for all these interpretations of Batman. There's plenty of people out there who go, hey, I love the guy that played him in the 1939 movie, whatever that was. I love Adam West. I love Ben Affleck. It's like, there's never going to be, it's like arguing a favorite flavor of ice cream. It's never going to happen. No one's ever going to settle on one. But to me, Michael Keaton is the chocolate chip. It's the go-to. It's never going to let you down. It always tastes good. It's like the standard for me. And there's some people who have done it for better and for worse after Michael Keaton, but I just think that this movie's impact is, it's, I don't know. You don't want to oversell it, but at the same time, just the fucking pandemonium around it, you only see a handful of times in a lifetime. The impact of like the original, the Dark Knight Christopher Nolan movie, like that was absolutely massive. Avatar, Harry Potter, these movies that come along, but just seeing how where we are now, where people are stuck kind of, I don't know. I do feel like there is kind of some negativity around like Marvel and the MCU right now. I think people are getting a little tired of it. And I think people are getting a little tired of these movies in general, to be 100% honest. I think that, to see in a movie that's basically the same age as I am, that they're starting to see like diminishing returns in the MCU. Like, it's not like the original days with Iron Man and Avengers and stuff like that. And they're still making $400 billion off of, they're still raking in fucking money, and they're successful. But I think the shine of these has,
yes and no. Yes and no. Quantumania was a big
Right,
failure.
right.
That only made $400-something million off a $350 million budget,
Whew.
and like that's a $350 million production budget. So not taking into account marketing and stuff
Right.
like that. So I mean, they're not. Yeah, you are right. Then like it is sort of like diminishing returns. But I think it comes down to variety. Like, so Spider-Verse right now is killing
Right.
it, and I
The
think that's
Batman just
because
came
it's
out
so
and was,
different.
debated,
Right.
but was a huge success.
Right. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. I ruined
No,
your
no,
point.
no, no. You're fine. Well, I think that, ultimately it is interesting seeing this quaint 50 million-dollar movie, that came out almost 35 years ago, to now seeing Quantumania, that's just this extravaganza of this visual craziness, and it costing as much as a small country has in GDP. It's like, holy fuck. And it's still not, they're seeing these kind of diminishing returns. But then I feel like DC is kind of killing it right now. I feel like DC, I think, has their main line of success has always been the animated stuff.
Did you see Black Adam?
I know,
sorry.
but like,
Did you
I think
see
DC is killing it right
Black
now
Adam?
with, they did Doom animation, but they did Doom Patrol, the Young Justice show. The Flash is about to come out. Peacemaker, Suicide Squad. They are kind of starting to hit, not homers, but they are getting to first and second base with these franchises and movies. I think they're doing a good job, and so is Marvel. But DC has always lagged behind Marvel in this kind of sense, and I do feel like it's not even at all, but they are starting to the parallels are starting to shift a little bit, where I think people are like, okay, we've seen 25 fucking Marvel movies at this point, and we've seen almost as many DC films, but now I think that they're starting to I think once the Flash comes out, they're definitely going to be a huge hit for them, even if Ezra Miller and all that other bullshit, just because if Michael Keaton doesn't come back for the Flash, it's nowhere near as successful as it is. And that shows you the fucking impact of the movie we're about to talk about. It shows you absolutely the huge, that was one of the most recent times that I've seen a trailer that came out and it was just like, holy shit, Michael Keaton's back. And just I'm Batman, and him actually getting to move around and fly and jump from the jet. And it's like watching the trailer, I was like, dude, this is stuff he was never going to be able to do in a Burton movie. It's too theatric, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just different. It's not an action packed summer blockbuster that we have today. Back then, 1989, hell yeah. But seeing him get to fight Zod, and it's like, dude, you would never see that in a Tim Burton Batman movie. So I think it's kind of cool that he is getting to kind of come back to the role, but B, stretch his legs and do something different. Don't just do the same thing that was done before. That people would like it, but that would be one of the first criticisms about it, is that people be like, yeah, he's just, it's the same thing as what was going on in the Burton universe or whatever. Supposedly Michael Keaton is really pushing for Tim Burton to be the one to direct Batman Beyond if they make a TV show or a movie, because he wants to, he's like, I want to bring back that foundation, but also do something new. And this Batman did not just stop after Batman Returns. He kept going. I think that's very interesting, and I hope they do it. But
I think Burton's lost the juice. So,
no, I think he's definitely he's slipping, and now they're doing Beetlejuice 2, and I don't know how Dumbo did. I didn't see it.
Oh, Wednesday was really popular.
Wednesday, what? Yeah,
because he did all the episode of Wednesday.
I think
right?
so, if not multiple of them. But I don't know. Maybe there's still some kind of magic in the bag, but just leave Johnny Depp out of it, for fuck's sakes. Johnny Depp is Terry McGinnis. I'd be like, dude, fuck this. I'm not watching. But
oh yeah. Sorry, I just had to check. He directed 4 of the episodes of Wednesday. Yeah, so 50%. Well, not bad.
Okay, I was gonna say that makes a lot of sense. But yeah, I say we can go ahead and jump into this. And take bites out of it. We're not going to sit here and talk about every single scene back to back to back. This is a 2-hour long movie, and I definitely want to take it in big bites, as we go, and along the way stop and talk about the moments that we like. But I enjoyed the beginning of this. This is the first time watching it that I was like, oh shit, he actually calls that kid Timmy. I don't know why I always as a kid, I'd watch this and be like, "Oh, it's Bruce Wayne," and it's like, "No, you stupid fuck!" Like he literally says his name as something else.
Right.
Um,
I love the red
yes,
herring, right? I
the
mean, like, you
misdirection.
know, we're supposed to think that this is the Waynes, and that this is potentially Joe Chill.
Hmm.
But yeah, like it's really clever, really great way to open it up, especially given, like, you know, this film was made during a time when audiences had not seen the death of Bruce Wayne's parents 50 million times on
True.
screen, because we
Hmm.
have. But also another choice that this movie makes is something that is incredibly unique to this movie that can never be emulated today, which is this sort of like side story, side plot of Vicky Vale discovering Bruce Wayne's the death of Bruce Wayne's parents' murder, because they keep it such a mystery. And, you know, if you were to do that today in today's audiences, like, today's audiences will be like, yeah, I fucking know that, dude. Like, why are they doing this like side story of Vicky Vale trying to discover like what the hell happened to Bruce
Right.
Wayne? We
Right.
already
Yeah, it
know.
would seem so
So I
redundant.
think, yeah, it's such a film of its time, is my point. You know, like, we've seen like the origin story so many times of this character. Um and they keep they have this mystery, this running mystery of Vicky Vale trying to figure it out.
Yeah,
But yeah.
I definitely agree. It'd be just, what the fuck is she talking about? Why don't you just go to Wikipedia? There's like a whole page, like,
Right.
one of the most insane things I think about the beginning of this movie is the hooker who goes to the kid and she's like, "Hey, honey," and it's like he's a fucking 9-year-old kid, and I was like, Jesus, it's like the
Where's Rorschach
yeah,
when
right.
you
He
need
just
him,
jumps
dude?
down and like knocks her teeth through her spinal column, like just fucking just destroys her. But yeah,
Do we want to talk about animated Batman?
I know. Yeah. The first time, I think the first 2 times we see Batman, the first one is animated. The second one is definitely a stunt guy because that is not Michael Keaton. Like, I was watching it and I paused it. I was like, that's not Michael Keaton. Um,
Oh, and he's coming down
I
the
think
thing
when they see him and he flaps his wings up for the second time and then jumps down, like,
Oh,
it makes
right.
it's technically a stunt, so I guess why not? But yeah, the first time you see Batman, it's a fucking cartoon. Like, that's interesting. It's not
Mm.
like an insane, now you see it and it's like, holy shit, that's a little glaring, but you really have to kind of look for it, I feel like. But once you see it, you'll never unsee it. It's impossible not to notice it.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Um,
I mean, you know, this was intended for people who had VHS,
mhm.
and, you know, like, those fucking
Yeah,
squiggly lines all over their
I'm over
fucking
here watching
TVs
this
and
on like
shit.
an Xbox on a Roku TV. This like would blow their fucking mind. Um,
Right. I mean, it's basically playing out in
yeah.
front of you, like, in
Well,
real
and there's
life.
something like, as I was watching this, I was like, does half the population of Gotham have AIDS? Because these two guys just look fucking insane. They look like Tom Hanks in Philadelphia. They look fucking awful. But at the same time, I think that does kind of lead back to something serious of like, if you're not dressed like this in Gotham, you're in a suit with a fedora or a dress with pearls, and it shows like, I think one thing this movie does quietly extremely well is show the division in class of like the people, the have and the have nots. Like, there is no middle ground. It's like the people who are at the bottom or the people who are at the top. And I think it's really interesting seeing, everybody there's nobody walking around in like sweatpants with their hair in a bun. It's like everybody, it either looks like the bird lady in Home Alone and 2, or you look like, you're out of Mad Men. And that's one of my favorite subtle things about this movie. Watching it this time, I was like, dude, you are either have or have not. There are no in-betweens in this movie.
I'm gonna ask you to unbutton your shirt because I know you have
Yeah,
emotions.
Batman picks him up and it's like, of course, nobody knows about AIDS in 1989. He's like, oh God. And he like drops him. It's like, oh, fuck you, Batman. Oh, I'm not good enough to beat
What
up.
are these worms
Yeah.
on you? Jesus Christ.
But
Okay. One thing we gotta mention that we haven't mentioned yet is the production design. I mean,
Mhm.
it's so unique and gorgeous, and
was that Anton First?
specific.
Is that who did a lot of this?
Yeah, Anton First. Yeah. and it's incredibly imaginative. It's something that this point's been made a million times. We don't get this today, right? I mean, like Nolan's one is Chicago, Pittsburgh, whatever. But I mean, even Zack Snyder's one, it's not very like it's just a random city,
Right.
right? I mean, like
Very generic.
it's not this. And I know that in Batman we do get the Narrows and stuff like that, which is a little bit more cut from this cloth, but this is, the buildings are like gothic, and it's so in its own world, and it's really gorgeous to watch, to be
No,
honest.
100%. I don't think anybody has done Gotham that well, since, especially in Batman Returns, when we see it snowing and it's wintertime, and Gotham. That's an unbelievable. It's like if Shane Black got to do a Batman movie. It feels really cool. But Anton Furst was huge in designing the Batmobile, just this overly German Gothic kind of look to everything that kind of permeates a lot of Burton's work. But yeah, he's responsible for a lot of the look of this movie. But like you said, the misdirection, the red herring, here we are thinking we're about to get Thomas and Martha Wayne capped for the first time. We see the first kind of entrance of Batman, of him showing up, the iconic "I'm Batman." I was watching this with Lindsay, and I'm like, just try to delete all of X-Men, MCU, all these TV, Smallville, like everything. Try to delete all of that from your brain and just imagine you've never seen anything like this before. It's impossible to do, but you can fantasize. Just be like, my fucking head would be blown off my goddamn shoulders. That, like, seeing Michael Keaton hold the dude over the side of a building and threaten him. I'd be like, oh shit, this is not Adam West. Like, this is a defining. Adam West would never dangle a dude over like 100-foot drop. Like, that's fucking crazy. It really immediately shows you this Batman is not one to fuck around, and I really dig it. He's way more into the intimidation and fear tactics.
I think that's a really good point. Trying to watch it from the perspective of someone who's never seen a comic book movie or never really been introduced to a superhero like this. To be an audience member in 1989, and the only thing that you've really seen at that time is Superman, right? Which is a fundamentally different character, fundamentally different kind of movie with different ideals and different themes. And you get this character played by this actor in a movie that looks like this,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like it's all dark, there's shadows, but dude, the shadow work in this movie is absolutely stunning. I love the shadow, the way that Tim Burton plays with shadows in this movie.
Yes.
We'll get to a couple moments later, but there's some really striking details. Yeah, you'd just be blown away, man, if you did see this for the first time. You'd just absolutely be like, what, this is something else. Like, there was a lot of like lead up to this movie. There's a lot of hype, the Summer of the Bat.
Oh yeah.
And they released that poster with just the symbol and stuff like that. It was huge. Batmania, Bat Fever.
As a kid who was born probably a year after this movie came out, the impact of being 5, 6, 7 and still seeing, every kid had Batman toys. Every kid had,
the nurse that delivered you was wearing a Batman costume.
Yeah. She just like spits me out and immediately throws me in a cape and throws me out a window. And she's like, go fight. But the widespread kind of pandemic of Batman was just every fucking where. Even 6, 7, 8 years later, even after Batman Forever had come out, and that was vaguely remember. I think Batman Forever. I want to say yes, but I think that might have been the first movie I ever saw in theaters. I was so young. I would have been, like I said, 5 or 6, but I 100% remember having Val Kilmer's Batmobile and having like toys and stuff of the Val Kilmer era of Batman. And I think that trying to put yourself in that perspective is almost impossible. But it's like, if I dig back to like my earliest memories of just like even hearing someone go, hey, yeah, they're making a new Batman and it's Mr. Freeze and Bane, and I'm like, oh my god, Bane from like the cartoon. Like, I remember that's one of the first times I can remember going, yeah, dude, yeah.
Boom.
Absolutely. But as a kid being, I mean, what is it, 99, 98 when Batman and Robin comes out? It was one of the first times I remember going, yeah, Mr. Freeze has a wife. And that's why he's a bad guy. And Bane takes a drug. And I had like, prior knowledge and being like, holy shit, that's really cool.
Exactly.
Like being able to explain to my brothers and my family, being like, yeah, he's not a bad guy. His wife is just sick and blah, blah. And like, I remember my brothers being like, yeah, this kid's queer. Because I'm like 30, I am about to be 33 and I still do it now. I'm like, well, in the Heart of Ice episode of Batman the Animated Series, or BTOS as people like to call it.
Actually.
But again, the fear, the intimidation, I'm Batman. And just the seeing him disappear into the night. We're introduced to Knox and Eckhart.
Real quick, before we do move on from this opening sequence, and I know we're spending a lot of time on it, but there's a lot here. Like, there's a lot of setup. There's a lot of, because this first 5 minutes really need to set the aesthetic of the movie, what we're watching. It does a lot of heavy lifting, this opening 5 minutes. But one thing I really want to point out is I love that Batman eats shit in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, he gets shot at, he gets clubbed. Like, dude, he is vulnerable as fuck, and he just reminds you that he is just a man. However, I really wish that they didn't do it in this opening scene. I really wish that, like, because the first time you see Batman approaching these two thugs, one of the thugs just pulls out a gun and shoots him
and
twice.
He falls down.
And it's just, he falls down, and I'm just like, come on. Like, I know, like, I get it, I understand, but like, I really wish we kind of established the kind of force of nature that
right. If he just took the shots and kept coming, it's like there is no, he can't.
Yeah. I don't know, or maybe I don't know what the resolution would be, but I just thought it kind of like took the wind out of the sails a little bit, because we see him creeping around in the shadows, and then he makes that big overture with his wings, and it's like, oh fuck yeah, let's go, and then he just gets shot.
I would love to see the Funny or Die version of this when he gets shot and he's like, oh! And he starts shitting. He starts shitting himself, and it's like really awful. Blood starts coming out of his mouth. He's like, oh god. He's like really violently dying. Like, oh god, I didn't think of this. Yeah, I know what you mean, because I think if he just ate that and kept coming, it's like, I don't know what's scarier, the fact that you heard it and then it got right back up, or the fact that you don't even heard it at all. It's like, I don't know which one of those would scare me more. But like I said, we're introduced to Knox and Eckhart. I don't know why Lieutenant Eckhart is gargling Darkseid's cock every time he talks. Just, don't let it ruin your useless reputation. And you're like, dude, who did your ADR? Goddamn.
He is acting like he's in a different movie, this guy. This is Porkins, by the way, from
really?
Star Wars: A New Hope. Cool. Yeah.
He's good. He plays
Porkins,
the comic book guy from The Simpsons, really well. But I think that
also he's in Indiana Jones: The Rise of the Lost Ark.
Oh,
he's one of the he's one of the guys who kind of like sets Indy on his adventure at the beginning.
That's cool. That's really cool. I had no idea. Yeah. I don't know why this isn't just Harvey Bullock. I think there's some right stuff going on there. Why Carl Grissom is not Salvatore Moroni or Carmine Falcone or whatever. Yeah. But seeing Knox get introduced, this kind of comedic relief. I think Robert Wool is this guy's name. Does a great job. I like Knox a lot. He's extremely natural.
I like him too.
Lieutenant Eckhart, is there a 6-foot bat in Gotham? And if so, is he on the police payroll? And if so, what's he pulling down after taxes? Like, I still think that's hilarious.
It is funny. The delivery is great. Do we want to talk about where Batman is in his sort of like career at the moment? Because
in this timeline. Oh
yeah. So, like, it's interesting because he's got all this. I can't imagine that it's very far in, right? I mean, like, if they're only like sort of like just really starting to talk about this Batman guy.
I think they said 8 sightings in like 1 or 2 months or something. I think that it's been kind of going on for a couple months. It seems like he let out the cough that started the infection, but it's not quite a pandemic yet. It's like it hasn't quite taken over.
Right.
over
Right.
Gotham.
Yeah.
So I feel like this would be like, I don't know, kind of like Batman Year One, but like maybe a little bit.
Maybe like year
Yeah, this would
two.
be like the Batman, like the Matt Reeves movie, maybe a few years
Right.
down the road, maybe a few more years. But yeah, because Michael Keaton doesn't strike me as young, angry 22-year-old Bruce Wayne. He strikes me as 31-year-old Bruce Wayne who's had a little time to kind of meditate
Right.
on his anger. But we see Eckhart is obviously extremely crooked. He meets with Bob the Goon and our boy Jack Napier. Yeah, I think this is really interesting, just kind of setting up the fact that not only are the police working hand in hand with Carl Grissom, but it's totally under the nose of Commissioner Gordon. That Commissioner Gordon is actually a good guy. Like, because at first watching this now, I feel like you might be able to go, holy shit, the whole police department's crooked. And it's like, no, it's just really Eckhart. He's just kind of a higher up,
Yeah. And these 2 minutes seeded the Dark Knight, I reckon. Like Nolan saw these like 2 minutes of movie and was like, police corruption. I think I can do something with that.
Yeah. No one's ever done a movie about that before.
I can make the Dark Knight. Right. We have to address the scourge of the underworld, the real scourge of the underworld in these Batman movies.
I tell you one thing I love about this movie is Billy D. Williams as Harvey Dent. I think that's so out of left. And I'll be honest, he doesn't really do anything that blows me away, but it's fucking Billy D. Williams, man. Like, he's so cool.
He needs more capes, though.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's
that's true.
I can't recognize Billy D. Williams without the capes, man.
Here's your incoming Family Guy reference for the episode. It's like, I can't remember what it is. And he goes, Peter's like, that's cooler than the other side of the pillow. And he shows him sleeping. He flips it over and it's Billy D's face. And he's like, Billy D. Williams. He's like, I'm cool, baby. And he just like goes to sleep on him.
I love that.
But he did finally.
There's always one. There's always one reference.
He did finally get the chance in I think it was the Lego movie.
Lego movie. The Lego Batman.
At least they kind of brought that full circle. But there is a comic book, I think, off of an unused Batman script. It might be called Batman 89 or something, but it's on the cover is Billy D. Williams as Two-Face. And it's like, oh, it's pretty cool. I definitely think of everybody, Tommy Lee Jones, Aaron Eckhart, Billy D. Williams. It's like, I like Aaron Eckhart and Tommy Lee Jones. I just don't think they have that kind of, I don't know, if Tommy Lee Jones, if he was in The Dark Knight, that is a performance I think that would blow your fucking mind, is seeing, because there are hints of that in Batman Forever where Tommy Lee Jones literally says, one of my favorite lines from that movie is, "You've always been very fair with us, Bruce." And I was like, oh my God, I love that. I love that little moment of him.
Like this like implication of history.
Yes. Implication of history, and like the admittance of the duality of himself, and like talking to Bruce like he's a normal person. And I don't even know if there's ever been, I don't remember in Batman Forever of Two-Face going, Batman's Bruce Wayne. It's almost like he's known the whole time. I love the fact that it's not some big fucking reveal. And it's just like a little, it shows you how much Bruce tried to save Two-Face. And I do wish, I almost don't think there's any interaction between Bruce Wayne and Harvey Dent in this movie. I never see them talk. I never see them,
No, I don't think
it kind of sucks. I wish they did that, but, obviously like you said, the police department are corrupt. He says he's an A1 psycho.
Quick question for you. Sorry, I know you're trying to get through the scene. Was Jack Napier made up for the comic, for this movie? Like, was the Joker ever referred to as Jack Napier? Or
I think in the Killing Joke he's just called Jack. And I think Killing Joke is the whole vat of chemicals thing. I think that's where that comes from. And I feel like if you ask most people, the common accepted Joker mythos is being dropped in a vat of chemicals. Like, it's in Under the Red Hood, it's in the Killing Joke, it's in Batman the Animated Series, it's in everything. But I think Jack Napier, the name specifically, is made up. But I think Joker's name is pretty much always known to be Jack, just because it just kind of works with Joker, I feel like. I love the way he ends this. He's like, see, you can make a good decision, like, or whatever he says. He's like, when you take time to think about it, you can make a good decision when you try. We get
Wirecard, you ought to think about the future. One of my gripes with the Joker in this movie is, and I completely get it, and it's done for the good, for the better, but post Joker is his personality is just not the same as pre Joker. Do you know what I mean? Like it's
well, yeah,
like
they
it,
are very
like
different.
right, yeah. Jack Napier is very so he's a little reserved, he's quieter and stuff. And then it's like, you know, he falls in the vat of acid and becomes the Joker, and it's like, I don't know, like it becomes a whole different person, and I maybe that's by design, maybe that's on purpose. But
No, I know what you mean. It's I mean, I think obviously it's by design to some degree. If it would be weird if he were just still that cool, calm, and collected afterwards, you know.
yeah.
But I know what you mean. It's kind of like the way that the Overlook brought the craziness out of whatever the fuck his name is in The Shining. Is it Jack?
Yeah, it
Holy
is Jack.
shit. Yeah, all working. No, it's not Jack. I gotta look this up now. This is gonna bug. I think.
Yeah, Jack Torrance. Dude.
Okay, because I thought they were.
I just pulled that out of my ass. I didn't even look that up.
I
Jack
thought
Torrance.
we were getting stuck on the all work and no play make Jack a dull boy. I was like, well, I think that's a saying. I don't think that's his actual name. I fucked that up. You think the Stephen King fan
Jesus
over
Christ,
here
calls himself a Stephen King fan? Jesus.
But the yeah, I think that there's it just the way the Overlook brings that out of Jack, the way that the Waste kind of brings that out of our Jack in this, it brings his worst personality to the surface. But we see Alexander Knox. We're cutting over to him. I love the he needs a little bit more gore on the fangs. What a dick! It's such a like watching this. Lindsay goes, is this PG-13? I was like, no, I don't even know if that existed yet. I was like, I think it was after Raiders or something they finally made it. But the him getting his balls busted.
No, this is 5 years post Raiders.
Okay, there we go. I couldn't remember when they started doing PG-13.
Temple of Doom is the main one. That's the one. Yeah, with the heart rip. Yeah.
We're introduced to Vicky Vale. We see that Knox catches a lot of shit for basically giving into this kind of story. Everybody really ridicules him. If you need me to, again, a PG kids movie. If you need me to pose nude, you'll need a long lens. God damn, dude.
Mm-hmm.
She says, "I'm here for the nightlife of Gotham," and at first he kind of brushes her off, but she said, "No, yeah, I'm actually genuinely interested in this," and I dare to say it looks like she's turned on. To be 1,000% honest, like she's like, I like bats, and it's like, why you left Corto Maltese? Did you imagine hearing that? But like, why are you here? It's like, well, I left Corto Maltese to hear a story about like if someone's like, yeah, I left like Ukraine in the middle of a war because Mothman had a sighting in Virginia. You'd be like, what the fuck are you on, you crackhead? Like, like what are you fucking talking about? But I like that there is kind of a darkness to her. She does kind of have that darker kind of side to me, she's interested in that kind of like what would possess someone to do something. It's like chicks who get into serial killers.
Why is it, do you think, that we haven't seen Vicky Vale on film since 1989?
I don't know. That's a good point. There's always Batman Returns. It's Catwoman, and then it's what's her name and Batman Forever, Dr. Chase Meridian. And then in the fourth one, it's some totally, I don't know who the fuck she is.
I guess Poison Ivy.
No, there's a woman. There's like an actual woman in Batman and Robin that's just this nameless. It's like probably some model.
Thought they're in a homosexual relationship.
But yeah, that's kind of interesting.
Oh yeah, no, I do remember. Isn't she played by an Australian?
I'm not sure. I barely remember her.
I can't remember. But anyway, so yeah, and then there was Rachel Dawes, and then like, yeah, and I don't think Affleck got love interest,
which I like. I do actually really like that about him.
I like as well. And then you get Selena Kyle in the Batman. So yeah, we haven't seen Vicky Vale,
and then Marion Cotillard and Dark Knight Rises. But yeah, it's always somebody. I mean, he's like James Bond. He's just always banging some new, unbelievably hot chick, like Michelle Pfeiffer, Nicole Kidman, Zoe Kravitz. It's like, God, you're just ripping through these hot chicks.
But see, like the difference. Okay, so I don't know. Was Rachel Dawes in the comics ever?
I have no idea.
Because Vicky Vale to me was always kind of like the love interest because, well, in my head
Mhm.
at least, because Selena Kyle is a villain and Talia al Ghul is a villain, and then Vicky Vale doesn't have interest in Batman like that. She's just kind of like a civilian.
Yeah.
So yeah, I always kind of just wondered.
Yeah, I mean that
Well,
might
we've never seen Vicky Vale
your
again.
observation might end up being the reason of like I can't get involved with someone who can't defend themselves in this kind of Talia and Selena and all of them can they exist in this world just as much as Batman does, but Vicky Vale, it's like you would be dragging just like you said, it'd be like somebody in the mob bringing their wife into it, even though she has nothing to do with it. It's like you said, a civilian. But
Also, just real quick, Corto Maltese was the setting for the new James Gunn, the Suicide Squad.
Oh, never mind. I thought you were going to talk about Dark Knight Returns. It plays a big part in Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah, I actually had to look it up because I remember Corto Maltese in the Suicide Squad, and that's where the whole movie takes place.
Shit.
And then I looked it up, and it's like Corto Maltese is like a locale in the Batman universe, and I was like, oh, that's awesome. That's cool.
But yeah, I enjoy the fact that she's kind of like, it's like Bigfoot, she's like, no, I fucking believe, she's Mulder from the X-Files to me. And I kind of dig that. And he says, I need something tangible. Gordon's got a file. I can't even get him on the phone. And they say, hey, we're going to Bruce Wayne's benefit. And I like the comedic relief of Knox. He's like, Knox, will you marry me? She's like, no. He's like, will you buy me lunch? She's like, maybe. Like these weird little, I feel like this is a thing that we've talked about before on the podcast of like people became friends in movies so much faster back in the day, like I feel like now this would seem odd of like, they're already like best friends, but in 1989, it's not that weird. It's like Lieutenant Kinderman and Father Karras from The Exorcist. They're immediately like buddy, and I'm like, that does not happen anymore. So they're trying to work the angle on Gordon from Bruce Wayne's benefit. We meet Carl Grissom for the first time, and they talk about access chemicals. Basically, need to go in there and burn scorched earth, motherfucker. We got to burn our bridges. They can't tie them to us. And Grissom puts Jack in charge of it himself after he makes the decision. He's like, yeah, just go in there. Yeah, why don't you just go in there and burn it down? He's like, oh, yeah, you should do it. He's like, fuck, why did I fucking say that? God damn it. I don't know.
Well, we also got to mention that the Joker was created basically because of a woman, right?
Yeah. What does he say? Is it Alicia? Is that her name?
Alicia. Yeah. Smoke show, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I'll be honest, like I like Jack Palance from like City Slickers and stuff. I think he's in Shane. I haven't seen a lot of his movies, like
he's in Shane,
his older like westerns and stuff. I know him from like I know him from like his later work. But his decisions as an actor, like, you are my number one. God. I love that Nicholson basically,
you're lucky, Dad.
that Nicholson basically rips on him for that, later on in the movie. Like, it's a great little and it's two scenery chewing actors. These guys are titans of acting. Never forget.
Sorry,
you're lucky, Dick.
Sorry, I'm just laughing at get me. Lieutenant.
Yeah.
Dude.
No. He takes up more room in this scene than Jabba the Hutt. He just lays out. And I kind of love it though. Like he's got
because he's so fat from eating all the scenery.
Yeah, dude. Right. Well, he's got this weird like a walkinism kind of like get me Lieutenant Eckhart. And it's like, who fucking talks like that?
He's like, dude, he got the assignment, right? He's like, oh, Batman villain?
Yeah,
cool.
100%.
Done.
We see Bruce Wayne's benefit. We all of Gotham's elite kind of rubbing shoulders. Again, if you never see these people like walking around in Reeboks with a white t-shirt, it's like you don't catch anybody at home being normal. It's like everybody is super, super well-to-do, or you're, fucking Tom Hanks, in Philadelphia, those guys, it's the have and the have nots. And I love that. We see Commissioner Gordon, Harvey Dent, the mayor, everybody's rubbing shoulders. We've got enough problems in this town without ghosts and goblins. He's like, that's not a denial. That's not a denial. Like he just never gives up. I love Knox's like tenacity. I want to say that actor Robert Wool was also in. Oh, it's a baseball movie. I can't remember that. I think it's Bull Durham. It's a great Kevin Costner.
Yeah, it is. It is Bull Durham. I
love Bull Durham. It's a great movie. Tim Robbins and Kevin Costner, Susan Sarandon, really good. If you ever seen it,
I don't know, man. Keep your fucking sport,
dude. Trust me, I don't even. Closest sport I watch is Halo, and that was last weekend. And baseball's so fucking boring to me, but I love Bull Durham. It's great.
Rugby league. By the way, I used to play baseball.
Oh, really? Me too. I was terrible at it. There we go. See, we were doomed to be fat and stay inside and do podcasts. That's what I'm talking about.
I know.
Pass me the chicken wings. But
you're gonna eat that.
That should be the name of the next podcast we do. Are you gonna eat that?
You gonna eat that?
We get the first kind of introduction of Vicky Vale and Bruce Wayne. Love that. Like, because he's being honest. Does anybody here, who Bruce Wayne is? Kind of, yeah. I like I
love him, man. Like he's so cheeky, man. Like it's good. It's good stuff. By the way, interesting. Our first real look at Bruce Wayne doesn't come until 20 minutes into the movie.
Yeah. And the decision of like Wayne Manor itself to feel like this huge lodge, it doesn't feel like, like the house in, I don't know, like Scary Movie, like these big Victorian, it's this like, or, the Haunting of Hill House. It's not this big Gothic disturbing thing. It's this big, I don't know, it just not what I thought Wayne Manor would look like, but we spend so little time in it that really it's the Bat Cave that feels most like Wayne Manor to me. But we see basically the Knox trying to signal for Vale because Commissioner Gordon is getting the fuck out of Dodge. We don't really know exactly why. He talks about Lieutenant Eckhart and makes a beat for it. I really, really dig all of this. Like this, I wish this, like, to me, this is when, Ben Affleck and Gal Gadot have that moment in Batman versus Superman, and they're both bidding over this thing or whatever it is. Like, I like the moments of when the heroes, fuck you. I like the moments when the heroes have to play normal, that like you have to put on a face because you're in front of like a shitload of people. And you have like, there is that kind of like Batman Returns, when they're both like realize that who the other one is. I love those kind of moments. We see them checking out the war room. This guy must be the useless guy in America. It's like, God damn, dude. Pretty fucking brutal.
Fucking Knox giving Wayne shit even after he's given him the grant.
Oh yeah. He's like, this guy must be king like of the Wicker people.
Look at this mirror, right? Yeah, I know.
Should be Bruce Wayne. We finally get the proper introduction between Bruce Wayne and Vicky Vale. He talks about the Batman story, mocks it a little bit. I love all this. And we get a tip from Alfred saying, "Hey, Commissioner Gordon had to leave rather unexpectedly, so." Great. I just love the kind of like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, Batman. My bad. Even in the conversation where she's like, "And what do you do for a living?" He's like, "Well," and then immediately cuts him off. And I was like, I love that because like, it's just that he basically owns a business, and it's like, but what does your business do? It's like it enterprises, but what is an enterprise? It enterprises Bruce Wayne. Like, like what the fuck does what does Wayne Enterprises do?
He's in waste management, right?
Yeah. It's just him driving in the Batmobile, like over the bridge into Gotham. Joker's got a gun.
Oh, that's great.
Scarecrow's got laughing gas.
Shotgun shot.
Knox gets a grant, which I think is fucking hilarious. I love that. We see he's a bit of a peeping Tom. He has 6 cameras in that room, and it's like, okay, fucking Christ, man. He sees what's going on with Commissioner Gordon, figures out that there's something going on in Access Chemicals. We cut to Lieutenant Eckhart already there. So now, like you said, Joker's
Lieutenant Throat Cancer.
yeah, we see Joker's basically being set up over a woman. And I like, again, the look on his face is one of the few times in this movie he really looks surprised. But I like how immediately he's like, "We've been rat out. Watch it, boys."
Oh,
and that's so good.
That's so good, man. I love it. Like just the look of control. Like, yeah, we've been ratted out. Watching it,
Yeah,
boys.
well, and the fact that all of them look like the Rainmakers men from Looper, the Bruce Willis, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Ryan Johnson movie, they all look like the Rainmakers goons. I love that they're just, I don't know, the goons are just these faceless fedora suits, pinstripe, they're the most faceless goons, but I like that.
Yeah, they were hired on Craigslist.
Yeah. Well, I love the look of them, that it's not just like in later Batman movies, they're basically turned into like the putties from Power Rangers, and they're dudes with who dress up in red and black and have like piercings and shit, and it's like, okay, whatever. Like this is kind of interesting because they're just normal dudes with guns running around. This movie's basically Batman fighting the mob. That's basically what it is. Commissioner Gordon rocks up. "I'm in charge here, not Carl Grissom." Love that moment. Pat Hingle doesn't get a lot of really good shit as Commissioner Gordon, but he was, between him and the animated series, I would say Pat Hingle was probably my first Commissioner Gordon. The mustache is like, if you're Commissioner Gordon, you have to have that mustache. There's no argument. Like, it's like if you're a Padawan, you're wearing the rat tail. There's no option. Like, you have to have the rat tail. But if you think about it, Commissioner Gordon is always like the animated series, Gary Oldman.
Yeah.
Is it Jeffrey Wright?
Jeffrey Wright, yeah. But that is one of my and also fucking J.K. Simmons, right? I mean, like,
I forgot about him.
The mustache too. Yeah, but like this is kind of why, man, I just think Nolan made such a great choice with, like, in Batman Begins, like honing in on the relationship between between Commissioner Gordon and Batman, because that's not really something that we'd seen before in these movies. Like, this is
right, the alliance,
the relation.
Yeah,
you really do feel that missing from this movie a little bit, because I always thought that was a big aspect of Batman, is this sort of like, he is this vigilante that's sort of like doing something outside of the confines of the law in terms of, like, police and law enforcement, whatever, but he's being helped by the commissioner. Like, that was always an aspect from the cartoons or whatever, any kind of Batman thing that I'd always associated it with. But yeah, you still don't get it in this movie,
right? Yeah, it's kind of like if the Joker is Germany and Hitler, then Commissioner Gordon is like America.
Jesus Christ, I want to see where this goes.
Commissioner Gordon is like America, and Batman's like Russia. And it's like, listen, I know we operate on different sides, but we've got to cooperate together to fucking take down a bigger, like, it's like Commissioner Gordon knows, it's like, I should technically be busting your fucking ass, but I've got to put that on pause right now because Joker over here is about to laughing gas all of us.
So who's Italy?
Italy's the Penguin.
All right, okay. All right,
Mr. Freeze is we'll say
Japan.
Oh, Japan. I was gonna be like Poland. But anyways, we get this kind of raid on Access Chemicals. I like all this. This place is, it just produces goop and steam. I love it. It's just so ridiculous and unnecessary. But the playground feel of it, I dig. That he just chops into that thing and it cuts him off, and there's always steam and everything around the corner. The reactions to Batman are my favorite part of the scene. Oh my god, like, that's unbelievable. Or though, to make Jack Napier go, Jesus Christ, it's like
Jesus, yeah, it's so good.
Well, especially like
it's fantastic. It really is fantastic.
Yeah, if you were to put, Michael Keaton is an unconventional choice for reasons. He's shorter. He's not Ben Affleck. He's not 6'4" and 250 pounds of muscle. He's a very average dude. Like, I think Burton has said a few times that, like, he liked Michael Keaton because he looked like a dude who had to put on a suit to go and kick ass. Like he's a very unassuming looking guy on his own. You know, you kind of have to, that suit gives you the advantage versus someone like Ben Affleck or Christian Bale, or definitely more of the muscle bound, Batman.
I think Robert Pattinson has a lot in common with Michael Keaton. I know
Sure.
that Robert Pattinson got a bit pretty jacked for the Batman, but he is very much more unassuming than Affleck.
Oh
'cause
yeah,
Affleck got
dude,
huge.
Affleck was on the roids 100%. Like, there's no
Right.
way.
And that goes very well with Zack Snyder's aesthetic in those movies. Everything is sort of like amped up to 11, but like the Batman is more, he is that kind of sort of a little bit more slender, a little bit more sleek.
Right. Yeah. And I couldn't imagine seeing a comic book accurate version of Batman, like someone who's like 6'5" and 300 pounds of muscle and picks you up and you just go, oh my fucking God, what is that? Like, what in God's name is that? I love those reactions.
Do we want to talk about the suit? Because we should maybe just chat about the suit, because this is obviously the first time we see it in live action, and it looks great. I mean, like, it's the classic suit, and
I love they got away from like the Adam West like spandex and stuff. It's 100% armor.
Yeah.
It feels the sculpted abs and stuff. The spider cowl, that kind of like goes out to the shoulders, like the points of it. I really really dig that.
There are sometimes here when he's holding sort of like Jack Napier up, his cowl looks just a little maybe a little too rubbery, like like the way the light's coming off it a bit, and I'm just like, oh yeah, I guess he made it at home, and
yeah,
it is what it is.
Right. The later suits definitely have that more like the
matte, like smooth, matte, like finish.
That rubber looks like it's like a little patchy, like there's tiny holes all over, little dips and cracks and stuff.
What's your favorite suit?
I don't know, man. I really dig the Batman Begins suit, honestly. I do like the way that looks, but I don't know. One of my favorites is the armored Batman vs Superman suit. Like, I just love that suit in comic or any armored Batman suit. But I don't know. I do definitely like Robert Pattinson's. I like Christian Bale's. I really kind of.
That's my favorite. The Robert Pattinson one is, man, that looks fucking awesome. Like, it's just
that definitely looks homemade.
And I think I'm far away enough to not have recency bias, but like it looks so like combat, like I'm ready for fucking action kind of thing, and like the insignia on the chest is slick, man. Like it looks, it's. If I saw that coming down the street, I would shit my pants. I'm not gonna lie.
Right. Yeah, I think it all depends on what you like. I love the bulkiness of Ben Affleck's Batfleck. I definitely like the muscle for when you see him hitting that tire with the sledgehammer and shit. You're like, oh my God, like this dude's fucking huge.
Yeah.
No wonder he banged J-Lo and Jennifer Gardner. Like, good for him. But we which one's yours? You say it was the Batman?
It's gonna be the Batman. Like, that suit is just immaculate.
Yeah, I definitely like it. I don't think it's a bad suit. I think a lot of people ripped on the cowl and stuff like that, but like the cowl's okay. Like, it definitely has a very charming aesthetic to it that looks low scale. But the body armor on him, it's like, that's cool. I love the plating kind of look.
Right. The gauntlets, like the little arrow things on the gauntlets. Yeah, looks sick.
But basically we see the end of Jack Napier. I love not only his fall, but I love and not trying to jump too far ahead, the shot of him in front of Access Chemicals, the red Access. I'm like, oh my God, dude, that's probably my favorite shot in the whole movie. It's unbelievable.
With the neon?
Yes, in front of the neon, on top of it. Commissioner Gordon says, keep a lid on this until we figure out some more. Eckhart gets shot. I love that.
Dude, Batman just ascending using the smoke grenades is just hilarious. It's so fucking funny.
Yeah, there's a grapple shot in Halo Infinite that makes you feel like you'll just like be in the middle and everybody's coming at you and you just look up and grapple shot away and it's like, it's such a cool feeling. Arkham Knight portrays that extremely well. Like that, yeah, that is one of the funnest things to do in a video game is to fly around Gotham.
Yeah, the traversal in those movies, in those games,
so
yeah,
good.
Man. I've never seen. So when I think of traversal, like moving through a free roam sort of like map. Yeah, it's always Arkham City /Night, or the new Spider-Man games.
Yeah,
man, like it's
I would say
addicting.
One of the first ones I remember that was Spider-Man 2, the Doc Ock, Tobey Maguire. That was so much fun.
Yeah.
Vicky Vale goes on a date with Bruce Wayne. I don't think I've ever eaten this room before. This is all cute. I enjoy this. She's really charming.
I like this a lot.
She definitely charmed the boots right off me. She
was hot. Man, Kim Basinger was hot, man.
Yeah, I mean, she was bagging Alec Baldwin, so of course,
have you seen LA Confidential? We should cover that.
I know. I own that and I've never watched it. I've heard it's so good.
It's so good. So good.
They escape fucking Vlad the Impaler's dining hall to get to a more quaint kind of kitchen. I love Michael Gow. Michael Gow is a pitch perfect Alfred Pennyworth. There has never been a better Alfred. I love Michael Caine. I love Jeremy Irons. I've seen where people talk about John Lithgow for Alfred. I've seen people that talk about like John Cleese from Monty Python. I think all really great choices, but ultimately, I don't think anybody is ever going to hold a candle to Michael Gow. He's perfect.
Yeah, he's in my head too. Like every time someone mentions Alfred from Batman, it's him. Is it Gow or Go? I don't know. I don't get it.
Yeah, I think it can go either way. Da 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 da.
Oh god! Now I have Eckhart throat cancer.
Here's your dad joke for free. Da 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 da. We get a little bit of backstory on both of them. She talks about her, I don't know, some shit about her grandparents' house in the summer. I don't give a fuck. No, I'm just kidding. No, she talks about her grandparents' house in the summer. I love. She's like, yeah, I spent the summer at my grandparents, and they had a lake house, and he's like, both my parents were murdered. And she's like, oh fuck, my bad. I'm over here like, my childhood was great. How about yours? But
can we get to the Simpsons scene?
The Simpsons scene.
Come on, you know the one. You know the one.
Man, I don't think I do.
Okay, so
of course,
the mirror.
The mirror. Yes. I thought about that when I was like, the Simpsons.
I can't. So, I had seen The Simpsons before, obviously watching this, and Lisa getting her braces. Like she's doing this, man, and like, the first time I seen this, I was like, what? Wow, I did not know that was a reference, but
I think it
was perfect.
Is it the British dentist, the one who has like the big? No, he has the big British Book of Smiles, like that guy. That guy fucking kills me.
But do you remember that episode when they're showing like the composite on the computer screen?
And the
like,
teeth are going through her head by the
end.
Yeah, she looks like a warlock. Like she has just these huge like saber-tooth tiger fangs. This scene is way more disturbing than I remember being for a PG-rated movie. That definitely,
this is Burton flexing his horror muscles, man. Like this might be one of my favorite sort of like scenes in the movie, if not my favorite. Like just the like shooting it from behind, all in shadow.
Yeah, I was going to say you were talking to shadows earlier. This is a great example.
Yeah. The doctor's reactions, man. Like and like him like unfurling the hair, and like the hair's all just matted, and obviously the smashing of the mirror, but the laughing, man. Like I'm sure that when Heath was doing research on his Joker, like he must have been like, I like that a lot. Like I like that a lot. Let's turn it up.
Absolutely. That darkness.
This is fantastic.
But in the darkness, like, I mean, definitely the Joker is born when he falls into the vat of chemicals, but it's when this happens in this movie that's when the Joker's is like, yep, that's it. I have the edge has finally been found, and I stepped right over it. Like I love
Yeah.
that. You see the dissension. Like if they had fixed Jack's face, I think he would have been relatively like, okay, cool. Like I can handle this. I still want to kill people like I did before a lot more now, but at least I'm not a total lunatic. But I think once he gets disfigured, he's like, okay, let's full tilt boogie this,
Also, I had like real like Mandela effect in this movie because I thought he killed this doctor. Like
Oh
I straight up thought that he murders this doctor, but he doesn't.
no, yeah.
I don't know what
Well,
I'm thinking of.
yeah, I don't know either. Fucking idiot. But
The next use of shadows is literally like in the next scene when Vicky and Bruce are chatting in like that sort of stairway
Mhm.
in the staircase, and like there's like a wide shot, and you see over like the banner, and you just see like their shadows just coming down, and I'm like, man, what a dynamic looking shot! Like you could have done this so boringly, but yeah, like the use of color, the use of like shadows, light, contrast, it's stunning. It's like a painting.
yeah,
This movie.
I dig it. We see Jack Napier paying a visit to boss Carl Grissom. One thing,
It's me, sugar bumps.
well, one thing I've always noticed that I've Googled, and apparently a lot of people have noticed it before, is the purple spot on his neck. When he's like, and I feel much better, or whatever the fuck he says. Apparently it's just some kind of makeup that's rubbed off on there, but I've always noticed that. I can't help it. Doesn't ruin it or anything, but it's just like, the Joker should not his makeup shouldn't look perfect. It shouldn't be this like absolutely perfect looking thing. Like I kind of like the fact that there's this little imperfection about it. And I mean, him stepping out, like watching it now and seeing the white face in the shadow, Jack is dead, my friend. And you're like, dude, I kind of wish he stayed in the shadow, because it's so much more terrifying than when he steps out. It's like, well, he's definitely
Oh,
menacing.
dude.
He's definitely menacing, but it's now, in light of how many Jokers we've had, it's a little bit goofier. Like I feel like now the way people were looking at Cesar Romero when this came out, like people are looking at Jack Nicholson, after The Dark Knight, and Joaquin Phoenix and Jared Leto. Like people, I think, look at this as a little bit more of like your dad's Joker, and I think he's incredible. I think he does a great job, but there is something that's just, because it is so perfect looking, and he's always dressed to the nines, and he's always got like the perfect, his hair is combed perfectly, like his makeup's done like so well, like that more chaotic kind of look I think is taken over now when it comes to Joker.
Yes and no. So for me, yes and no. I think
Mhm.
you're definitely on the money. I think in the widespread sort of culture, this doesn't. This comes off as a little bit more goofy now because I mean, obviously it's of its time, but like there is something about the constantly smiling
Mhm.
Joker, which we don't get in the Dark Knight, which we don't get in Joaquin Phoenix's Joker or anything like that. Like there is something about the constantly like smiling, like like through the pain, like laughing through the pain, smiling through the pain, and like it, there's something that's really unsettling about that man. Like but I this this is the third scene in a row that I'm pointing out about the use of shadows, man.
Mhm.
Like him obviously stuck like stepping into the shadows, and oh, it's good. Like I had. Do you remember that scene in? You've seen Hereditary, right?
Oh yeah. Mhm.
when when Tony Collette's up on the ceiling and
Fuck
you don't really
yeah.
clock her. You don't really clock her until you look at her. That's kind of like what's happening in this scene. You're just like, what's that in the
Yeah,
shadow there?
and
Like,
even for an updated, like visually, it still looks great on, in modern day televisions, and in the realm of 4K and stuff like that. Like, it still looks great.
right, yeah. Imagine that with like film grain.
Hmm.
Like all the yeah.
Yeah, like I think Joker is so much more terrifying in this movie at the end, when he's got blood like over the front of his mouth and shit, and it's like, okay, yeah, that definitely fucking scares me. But the kind of like, you look like you just came from a salon kind of thing doesn't really, like, I'm like, yeah, this guy took a lot of time to get ready to get here. Like it's kind of off putting me a little bit. But he kills Carl.
He was already wearing the purple suit when he was in the surgeon's chair because you see his suit as he?
I just feel like he definitely spent time in front of a
brings the,
mirror. He's like, all right, got to make first
yeah.
appearances are everything, Jack. And like
Gotta look good.
sprays like
Gotta look good,
sprays the spray in his mouth. He's like, so he kills Carl Grissom. We see we see him step out. Wait till they get a load of me. That's a huge line from this movie. And again, this, regardless of how it is now, this reveal and him stepping out, which is like, holy shit, and Jack Nicholson, I don't think has ever made a movie like this, nor will he ever make a movie like this again, where like, when can you think of a movie, a comic book movie that he's in, or B, something where Jack Nicholson wears a prosthetic the whole time and has makeup on? Like, you would never see him do anything like this. Of course, his payday is like legendary from this, him getting paid like $6 million up front, and then all the points on merchandising and box office returns. I think he's made somewhere like $120 million off of this now.
The guy never needed to work a day after this.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
he did not.
Right. And we see him kind of look at Batman, obviously frustrated. Why the fuck is this guy getting all the light? I like the jealousy. I think that's cool. It's something you don't see a lot of Jokers do after this, of like the widest. It's not this whole like, oh, you complete me, I need you, we're the same person. Joker's like, no, you're in my goddamn way. Like I don't want you here. And it's like, you are the thorn in my side. I like this Joker who's like, oh, it's not some song and dance and I need the Batman. It's like, fuck this dude, who is this guy? I like that kind of attitude about it. We get Keaton swinging upside down. I hate that. I think it's so weird.
I thought it was way too much. Like, it's too much. Like, oh yeah, you see, guys, he's the Batman.
Right. It's definitely, I think it's something that Keaton came up with. Like, it's like Chris Sarandon in Fright Night. Like, Jerry Dandridge is always eating fruit and he's a vampire, and he's like, oh yeah, like a bat eats a lot of fruit. And it's like, oh Jesus Christ, you fucking literal bitch. But we see the aftermath of their night. Bruce is already getting kind of distant. He's definitely pulling the, oh, here, let me call you an Uber. Alfred totally blows his fucking cover. Oh, we'll be here for quite some time. It's like, oh, Alfred, come on, dude. Just because you never get laid. I love in the second one, he's like, my pelvis. I love in the second one where he goes, security, who's the one who let Vicky Vale in the Batcave? I'm sitting there, all of a sudden I turn around, oh, hi Vicky. Like, I love that they bring that up, and he busts his balls. What's interesting about this movie that I heard that I never heard before in like researching it, in the last couple of days, was the writer's strike of 1988 affecting this big time. And that supposedly that whole scene of Alfred just letting her in the Batcave is a pacing issue, where they were just like, we can't sit here and write, we can't figure out, we're just going to have Alfred go, you know what, bitch, I'm bringing her down here. And that's kind of why it feels so abrupt.
I was reading that writer's strike forced the writer Sam Hamm to drop out, kind of like mid-writing sort of thing, and there were rewrites done after that and stuff like that. And obviously Sam Hamm is still credited for the story and stuff like that. But like, yeah, the 1988 Writers Guild strike of America had some impact on this, which is kind of insane that we're going through one right now.
Yeah, and we had one back in 2007. Yeah. We get a few things that happen. We see, a Joker kind of trying to take over Grissom's I guess businesses. He shocks that guy Tony to death. He's basically just a hostile takeover. It just kind of shows the Joker that we're used to. And I love him wiping the sweat, and it reveals the white makeup. Like, and the fact that I don't think that it's like, because I think that the common thought is that Nicholson sitting there wearing a prosthetic and then a white layer of makeup and then the beige layer. And I think that on his rag is some kind of remover. And it actually, or it does something, I can't remember what, but I don't think he's sitting there in 2 layers of makeup, but I could be wrong. Either way, I think it's really cool.
I was curious about that. I was wondering if you knew about that, but
I don't know. It might be like the white makeup is already on the handkerchief. I can't remember. But I love the way that they do that. The fact that they show that the Joker is still right there, like underneath. And and here's the thing: is like watching this now. I thought, okay, yeah, that's it. Like now he controls Grissom's business, but then no, the mob is like, no, we don't want you, and he comes out and throws that feather in the guy's jugular. I love that in this part now that the mob is even the mob doesn't want anything to do with this crazy fuck. We see that he's basically already made up his mind. Yeah, we're just gonna fucking kill him anyways. Talking to the dead body and shit. It's like, God damn, that's again a PG rated movie, guys. There's something that I like about that with the mobsters in this, is that it is just this kind of like, the ones who are kind of faceless and nameless don't really have like they don't really have hats on. Like they're all very, like one guy is like totally bald. He doesn't have eyebrows at all. Like one dude is got like the pencil mustache and stuff like that. I love the way that they all look. And like the mobsters, I feel like are similar but different. But the goons are basically all like the same dude. Like I love the way that they design so many of these villains and stuff, even though they're only on screen for a small amount of time. Did you pull up whatever that was?
I'm trying to find it. I'm having some difficulty.
Jesus Christ, so, Jamie, come on, dude. Jamie, you want to pull that?
Pull that shit up, Jamie.
We see Vicky Vale trailing Batman to the Monarch Theater. I have always said that it's like we would be thinking of like a band name. I was in a band a long time ago, and one of the names that I pitched was Monarch Theater. Like I've always thought that was a righteous fucking band name. I think that sounds so cool, or an album, or a song or whatever. Like and just see how many people actually get the reference. It's one of the craziest places to visit in Arkham Knight. I would go there and go into photography mode and like take pictures and stuff. It was really fucking cool. But just the whole, like, I don't know, the tragedy of like, the wrestling match for Spider-Man and seeing Uncle Ben get shot, like this is that to me, like the scene, the dark alley outside a theater. It's just like, oh man, it's so dramatic. Like everything is like
so interesting that like both franchises recognize that and have now resolved to not showing that as much as they can.
Yeah. I like the fact that we haven't seen that with Tom Holland's, thing at all. I really dig that. Vicky Vale, sticks her goddamn nose in some really personal shit. Won't leave this guy alone. It's pretty fucked up and awful.
Fucking investigative journalist, am I right?
Yeah. We get this confrontation on the courthouse steps where Joker ends up killing the men. We see that Bruce Wayne is starting to kind of recognize Jack Napier. He gets shot in the shoulder and doesn't even fucking react. He's like,
dude, that was badass.
Yeah,
that was fucking.
He takes that bullet like a fucking champ. And this is one of my favorite variations of the Joker in this. The drawn on eyebrows, the tiny little red lips. Like I love this outfit. I think it's so interesting.
This obviously I've seen this scene quite a few times, but like it always shocks me at how openly brazen and violent it is. Like them just like pulling out their guns and just fucking going to town, dude,
in broad daylight. Like not that these are not just like nocturnal beings. Like these are things that are happening like on the front steps. And what meanwhile the mayor's talking about, but this parade, where we need 200, which is crazy. They're like, oh, we just need $250,000. It's like, that's it. Bruce Wayne can't just pay for your fucking parade. Like he's taking like taxpayer money. Oh yeah, we need donations. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Also, can we just recognize that the mayor in this movie is basically like the mayor in fucking Jaws?
Yeah, he's terrible. He's so fucking bad in this. Where he's like, I don't care if I have to get people down there with a shotgun. And it's like, do you understand people are being poisoned and feathers are being slit into throats on the street? And you're like, oh no, we have to have a fucking parade. Like, Jesus Christ, dude.
I know. It's like, Jesus, just relax. Fuck.
Yeah.
It's a killer clown on the loose.
We check in with Batman and the Joker. Joker still angry about Batman kind of getting the press. This town needs an enema. we see Bruce Wayne coming home, and he kind of has this heart to heart with Alfred, where Alfred, he's like, oh, I need the information on this, and oh no, I might be getting my scenes confused. Oh no, this is where, he's like, she's great, isn't she? And he's like, yeah, and he's trying to kind of steer him in this direction, and it's small, but that's one of the only reasons why I don't totally hate him just bringing her into the Batcave, because there's 1, 2, maybe 3 times in this where Alfred's like, hey, I think you can trust her. Like, you need to let her in. You need to bring her in. Like, you need to go towards her. And Bruce is just not really doing it. And I do think that obviously, they make Vicky Vale just a fucking damsel in distress. Like, she has no kind of agenda or anything.
Tough.
It's stupid. But that's why I really kind of like, maybe that's why Poison Ivy, Harley Quinn, Selena Kyle, Talia al Ghul, like those, not that, Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn are romantic interests, but the fact that they're like women of this world, and they're not just, Harley Quinn's not just going to get kidnapped and be, exiled to something stupid like that. But the
don't you love I need a glass of water, and he's already
and fucking Alfred's it's like Alfred would be a
just
great
a little date, like relationship stuff like that, like, you know what I mean, like,
right, yeah, it's like Obi-Wan,
that,
just knows what to say and when to get it and when to get it there.
Right,
but we get Joker kind of finding out about Vicky Vale for the first time, and his obsession over her immediately. She dates some guy named Wayne. Well, she's about to trade up. I love that. There's something. My Jack Nicholson is so bad, but I love. So I walked into the barber, and the barber looks at me, and I shot him in the face. Like, I don't know why it's so fun to do Jack Nicholson, but usually everybody's impression is terrible, or it's just mine.
He's a unique guy, man.
But we see him, obsessed with Vicky Vale, him working on the Joker toxin. This kind of like, I don't know, it looks like a gas used in like Vietnam or something. Smilex. I love all of this. Just the kind of like, where the fuck is this dude? Like, where? Like, oh my god, this is terrifying. Like,
what is? Yeah, where is he manufactured? Like, I mean, this is at Axis Chemicals, right?
I guess so. I wonder why. Is it Ace Chemicals in the comic book? I know it is in Arkham Knight.
It is Ace Chemicals in things. So I wonder why they changed it. But
who knows? It might be, again, one of those reasons why, Vicky Vale instead of Silver St. Cloud, Aaron, Lieutenant Eckhart instead of Harvey Bullock, just those little Eckhart. We see that the Joker's toxins are finally making their way to the town. The 2 models are dead. The news reporter ends up dying while everything's going on. And he lets him know, hey, yeah, I've basically poisoned you guys. He's been using brand
straight up
X.
like terrorism.
Yeah. He's like the Chicago Tylenol murders. Like he's just poisoning the whole fucking town.
He's straight up like fucking dude. He is the Al Qaeda of this movie. Like, right. He's
yeah. This is like, I mean, that's pretty much. I love what he says later on, where he's like, I can be a little rough, but one thing I'm not is a terrorist. And it's like, well, I mean, I'm pretty sure you're the Anthrax guy of the early 2000s. Like, I'm pretty sure you're.
Dude, he's like a public Unabomber, dude.
Right? Yeah, like you and Ted Kaczynski'd have a great time.
Something that always kind of weirdly terrified me about this movie, by the way. Love that Joker.
Oh. Yeah.
Why is that so terrifying?
Well, and for one thing, I think it's the pictures of them once they're dead, because they have the smiles on and stuff. And it's like, oh, that's fucking awful. While we get the commercial, Bruce is reading about Jack Napier's rap sheet. I dig that. He's kind of, he's doing the research. He's the detective. Got to start with the information first. The news anchors looking like, again, is good Lord, man. It's like
the subtle humor. Well,
it looks like they went and had sex with the 2 homeless people from the beginning of this movie. Like, Jesus Christ, like their hair is all and it's like, I understand like not wearing makeup and stuff, like especially on television, it looks really harsh. But these people look like they're dying of the bubonic plague, and it's like that. This is terrible.
The poor woman with the fucking split ends and like
Yeah,
her hair is just
the guy with like two giant. It's like, dude, what? How do you sleep at night on a piece of pizza? Why did your face look like that? Like, it looks so.
He just
bad.
wakes up in the morning, like does his like morning routine, and then before he heads out, he dumps oil all over his face.
He just throws hot bacon grease in his face every morning.
Right. He cooks bacon, but he doesn't even eat the bacon. He throws it in the fucking trash and just throws the grease all over his face.
They say there's no clue to the combination of what Joker's doing to poison everyone. So of course everyone's avoiding these beauty products. We see Joker going out for a meal with Vicky Vale. I like the Batman's like, wait, I'm not meeting Vicky tonight. Like, and that's the thing that how else would Batman know about this thing going on? Like, I love that. I love the fact that it's like Batman knows because Bruce Wayne knows. Like, I think that's cool that it's not. They could have just been like, oh, and Batman shows up magically at the end, and it's like, no, we're setting up a reason why Batman knows that there's going to be a meeting there. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. I dig that.
Yeah, I can't wait to meet Vicky Vale at the Flugelheim Museum.
Is that what it's called?
That's what it's called.
Flugelheim? Jesus Christ.
Flugelheim.
Basically we can skip right to Joker arriving because that's when the scene really kicks off.
It's so cool, man.
The orange and green gas mask. I always remember that little thing that he gives her in the box. I've never forgotten.
But not only that, like the little like urgent, and then put this on right now, like all written in crayon as well.
Yeah,
it's good, man. It's good. Anton first killed it with the production design of this movie.
Mm-hmm. We get a great entrance by the Joker. He doesn't let him destroy the Francis Bacon painting. I was like, that's cool. My face on the $1 bill. One of the things that I love about the music in this is, the whole thing with Prince, I think, was a studio mandate. And it was not something I think Tim Burton wanted, but he found the most creative ways to use it. It's always with the Joker.
Diegetic.
Yeah. And like what really fucks me up, because diegetic music is when you hear it and the characters can hear it, I believe.
Yeah.
The part that fucks me up is when they're in the meeting, like where it's Bruce and Vicky and Joker's guys and Joker in her apartment, and he's like, "Take thy beat from out thy heart," and then he hits stop on the thing, and I was like, "Oh shit! I thought that was just over. I thought that was diegetic music." Like that always fucks me up so much. I forget he rolls around with this fucking boombox. But again, an incredibly iconic scene for the Joker is us seeing all them just butcher the paintings and the colorful, again, how drab everything is in here, and he walks in and just starts pissing neon on everything is so fucking cool. And he murders an entire, God, there's probably 24 people in here, and he just fucking murders every one of them. You're like, oh my god, that's crazy. Again,
do you ever think we'll ever get a version of the Joker that goes in this direction, like just color? Because obviously with Nolan's one and the fucking David Ayer's one and Joaquin's one, they're a bit more muted, but like this is just, like you said, pissing neon, right? Do you think we'll ever get another Joker like this?
I don't know. Things have a way of coming like full circle, and I think that a lot of iterations of the Joker, Mark Hamill and Jack Nicholson kind of go hand in hand. These are the guys who, are always dressed well and stuff. And that does kind of lean over into, Heath Ledger and Joaquin Phoenix and stuff. Like they do wear suits, but they're always like janky and kind of odd looking. This Joker is like dressed to the nines, like, it's not like ironic the way that he dresses. I feel like Joaquin and Heath Ledger, like, it's kind of an ironic kind of dress up. It's not like I don't know. I don't know if you're ever going to see this kind of Joker again, where it's I think after the Schumacher movies, I think people are really hesitant to go back to something like that. And everything now is character, and I liked Joaquin Phoenix's Joker movie. I thought it was a good movie. I didn't think it like. I think too many people are expecting like with a character like the Joker or Batman or whatever. Now people are expecting it to like redefine the character every single time, and it's like, well, those are twice in a lifetime kind of character portrayals. It's not it's not every single time a Batman movie comes out the Joker needs to be this iconic thing, and I don't really consider Joaquin Phoenix's or Jared Leto's to be really kind of iconic at all. I think they're cool takes on it, but this and Heath Ledger really set the bar of like, again, your Joker and your dad's Joker. And I remember my dad seeing this and going, I don't like that. And he's like, that's weird. And like, it's not like that's not the way Joker is. And my dad was reading comics in the early to mid 50s as a kid. And he was like, that's just not the way that the Joker is. And for me, I was watching Mark Hamill and Jack Nicholson, and I was going, well, yeah, like that's a tired old bag. Like this new guy is the crazy over the top one. And I just don't know. I don't know. Things do have a way of being cyclical. I could see it coming back where they do like, a kind of more debonair, a little bit more regal, a little bit more royal, like that kind of Joker. But I think it would depend on the project and who's doing it. Now it's like the Joker is so much like, I don't know, mental health and societal trauma. Like this Joker doesn't give a fuck about any of that. He's just crazy. It's so much more simpler. But I mean, what do you think? Do you think it'll come around again?
I think it's gonna depend on a couple things. So, I think all of the points that you made were really really good.
And long-winded,
like always, always. He doesn't know anything else. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, like the Joker is always kind of like a reflection on society at the time, right? So like, as you said, Joaquin's one is is a reflection on our sort of like obsession with mental health, and the Heath Ledger one was a reflection on terrorism at the time. I mean, with all the Patriots Act,
oh yeah, like laughing in the face of like organization.
Yeah. Whereas like this one, I can't really put a finger on this one. But mainly because it's just trying to be something that is more like the comic book, but like a classic version of it. I mean, I'm not talking about like a Killing Joke or anything like that, but hold on. Whether or not, sorry, I was just getting a phone call. Whether or not we'll see a version of this again, I think it's going to depend also on how audiences are going to react to whatever James Gunn has cooking on Superman. I think that's going to be a more of a lighter touch. I think he's not going to go the Zack Snyder route. I think he's actually going to go something with a bit more bright and something that's just a little bit more brighter and more hopeful. And yeah, it's just going to be interesting to see what Gunn does with Batman the Brave and Bold. There's some very, very like early rumors that Andy Muschietti is going to be directing that too. So
what is this?
Yeah, the movie Batman Brave and Bold.
Oh, I knew there was like the cartoon that was like a lot campier.
Yeah, no. That's the next time we're going to be seeing Batman again on screen in a big movie. Is Batman the Brave and the Bold, and it's going to be an older sort of like grizzled Batman, and I think the Robin is Tim Drake.
Oh, cool. Yeah, Jason Todd needs a break. He's been Jason Todd. Like Tim Drake never gets the recognition that Jason Todd does.
Yeah, and I think So again, early rumors suggest that maybe Andy Muschietti is directing that. So if the Flash is good, then and I've heard that the Flash is very bright and very colorful. Mm-hmm. So if we do get a Joker who is bright and colorful, You know what? I'm ready for it. You know what I
Well,
mean?
I think it'll be a nice change of pace after the last Jokers and stuff we've got have just been so
Depressing.
depressing and utterly realistic, because it's like Joaquin Phoenix is like the Bernie Getz of Joker. Like he just fires on these dude on a subway car, and
Right.
it's like it's not like he's mass poisoning or anything. Like it's just that he's
I would
insanely
like to see the fantasy come back a little bit.
right. Instead of, yeah, I know what you mean, because like I think Nolan's just added this layer of realism that everybody in it is a terrorist. Bane, Ra's al Ghul, Joker. It's not these people who are like, oh, I want to go and rob a bank and that be it. They're people who are, it's not like, oh, Mr. Freeze, I want to turn the planet into a giant ice cube. It's like that's kind of goofy. It's kind of funny. It's silly, and there is room for that. But with the Nolan kind of movies now, no one's going to go near something like that. Like no one's ever going to go, like Batman and Robin, Arnold Schwarzenegger freezing all of Gotham or whatever. Like no one's going to go near that for a long time. But maybe it has been long enough that I could definitely see one where it's just a more campy or lighthearted kind of, it's more black and white. It's not so gray, because I think that's just one thing, for better, largely for better, a little bit for worse, that like a lot of characters now, it's all about the gray areas, like the Walter Whites, the Tony Sopranos. Like there's a lot of of the way that those characters are written now. And I wouldn't mind a Batman where it's like maybe a little bit more a movie that's self-aware and is kind of like, yeah, let's make something a little bit more goofy, that's just
Yeah.
black and white, good guys and bad guys, but do it well. Don't just make a shitty, like I feel like Batman and Robin, Batman Forever were kind of like that. There was just good guys and bad guys, and there was no character. But
I think that's a really good point. Like we just like developed a relationship with anti-heroes and antagonists and discovered that there could be a whole other side to bad people, right? I mean,
right,
like,
because they're human.
yeah,
I mean,
I
there's
think that's a
very
good
few
point.
people
Yeah.
who are just. I woke up one morning and decided to be bad. It's like, it doesn't really happen a lot. That does
Woke
happen.
up this
Yeah, yeah,
morning.
decided to be bad. But we get this great scene of them at this restaurant of him talking to her. Says he wants his face on the $1 bill. I love all of this, the acid and the bouquet, the flower on his jacket,
So good.
her throwing the water in his face, and like you do kind of think like,
Mm.
oh shit, he's melting like the witch, and like
I'm melting, dude. She full goes to help him as
I
well.
know, yeah,
She's
like you fucking idiot, like this guy just killed like 24 people. um Batman shows up right in the nick of time. Another iconic line. Where does he get those wonderful toys? It's like I love that. Um, Again, I really dig the kind of way that Burton uses Gotham in this. It is definitely a living, breathing character. It feels so like lived in. And when you get like these great scenes of them chasing the guys and they hit a produce truck, and it feels like really big. I think it uses Gotham in a way that I don't feel like Nolan does that a lot. Like I think some of the best stuff in The Dark Knight is when they're trying to transport Harvey Dent and the Joker goes after him, and it's like, okay, now Gotham feels a little bit more like a playground. Now it's still kind of bland and corporate, but it's a little bit more of a playground now.
Oh, dude! Like my favorite is that car chase in the first one when he's on the rooftops, right? Like
Oh
it
yeah.
feels, yeah, it does feel like a playground in that first one for sure. The Batmobile, right?
Oh yeah. I think that's, I don't know, stylistically one of the best parts of this movie.
Absolutely, man. Like it looks otherworldly. Like
Hmm.
the afterburner and everything, man. Like, come on.
Yeah, that is a guy that the Batman suit and the Batmobile, they just go so hand in hand together that you're like, that looks exactly like what this Batman would drive, like no ifs, ands, or buts, to the point where I don't even think they redesigned it for the second one, but they redesigned the suit, but the Batmobile stayed the same. It's like, why broke it if it ain't fixed, um
Yeah, 100%.
But we get this great chase scene ends with Batman getting it falling and hitting fucking piles of trash. I like this, like you said, him kind of getting his ass beat, him getting fucked up. I really dig it. And like taking like two, you know what, even if he survives, taking 2 point blank like 357 rounds to the chest, like that's gotta fucking hurt, man. Like it's not like he's walking away unscathed. He definitely broke like 4 ribs. He might have internal bleeding, like, you know, like that's still gonna fucking hurt.
One of my favorite moments is just him, like so it's him and Vicky in like the alleyway, and like, you know, the road's blocked, and he has to look up, and because it's that old suit, he's like,
yeah, he looks like he has a crick in his neck the whole time.
Oh, it's so
I
good.
just don't get why it took until Batman Begins Dark Knight to like change
Right.
That's fucking crazy to me. I don't get it. But a really great fight scene. I feel like a definite Indiana Jones kind of reference when the guy comes swinging out with the knives and he just kicks him. Like I feel like that makes me think of Indiana Jones. But a great kind of again, I read a quote that they wanted Gotham to feel like hell had spilt over and just spread, and it definitely feels like you feel like you're going to look down an alley and you're going to see Marv from Sin City. You know, like it feels like you're Kevin from Sin City is out here eating prostitutes, you know, right around the corner. It feels like this incredibly dark, like a goofier version of like the city from Seven. You know, just it's always like dark and grimy.
Yeah,
and
that's it.
It's always cold. It just there's no fucking
There's
sunshine.
cobwebs everywhere.
Right? Yeah, it's like it's like Dracula's hometown. You know.
Just real quick, I got to point it out. One of my favorite shots is and so the guy comes over the fence with the knives, whatever, and they're squaring up, and it's this really quick shot of like, it's like a zoom shot of like Batman like getting ready, and like he does that thing with his fist, like he just like balls up his fist, and it's like this really like quick shot, and I'm like, oh man, that's cool. Like let's go, let's do this.
Hell yeah. Sorry, I was trying to look up where I was in the movie. We end up having this great fight scene. The return back to the Bat Cave is really sick. I think one of the best shots is the road covered in leaves, and it's like obvious. It doesn't look like a real road. It looks like a set, but you just see the Batmobile come.
Oh, it looks so good.
It's excellent. We see, basically Batman giving her, the kind of chemistry like compound to what exactly is killing everybody. I like the fact that is something that I do like about Vicky Vale. She's not stupid. She's like, wait, you could have just given this to me already. Why did you bring me here? And he ends up, taking the recordings off her in the picture. The film is what he takes off of her. But he doesn't leave her empty handed. He gives her the, basically the antidote to save Gotham. I definitely dig all of this. I dig Joker's reaction to it when it shows him shooting the TV with like a sawed off double barrel, and you're like, Jesus Christ, dude. Holy fuck. I have given a name to my pain, and it is Batman. So many great iconic Joker lines. He does really get all the best lines in this. Like, do you dance with the devil? Have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight? This town needs an enema. Now it's time for me to relieve you of the little people of your sad and miserable lives. It's like, God damn, dude. It's so many good lines.
Wait till they get a lot of me. Like,
yeah. He has all the best lines in those. But we see, Bruce is, even though they've had this kind of victory, you can't rest on your laurels, and he's already hard at work back at the Batcave. And Alfred, again, you should probably try telling her the truth. Maybe you should bring her in on this. Like, that's why I don't mind that kind of revelation at the end. It's or him just kind of, not revelation, but that surprise of Alfred just bringing her in. I'm like, okay, it is not quite earned. It's abrupt, but at least you, as a character, Alfred has been mentioning this more than once. I'm like, cool. I dig that. We get this huge scene. I don't know, probably one of Keaton's best lines in the movie. You want to get nuts, let's get nuts. That so much so I think it's in one of the Flash trailers. I think I think it's quoted in that. but I know this is so weird, but one of my favorite things about the scene that you see super briefly is out her window. You just see kind of Gotham in the daytime, and it's like, man, it feels kind of like New York and like
Yeah,
Spider.
it looks weird.
There's the water tower, and I was like, oh man, that's interesting. Like I dig it because you rarely see Gotham in the daytime in this, but I like it. I think it's cool. She's got her.
Oh, dude, how did we forget about the iconic line, "Never rub another man's rhubarb"?
Yeah. Another rooster in the hen house. She's got her
I said that to
Padawan
Steph
braid.
the other day. I said that to Steph the other day because she'd never seen this, right? And I had to like set it up a little bit. But I can't remember how it came up. But she looked at me like, "What the you fucking freak?"
Never rub another man's rhubarb. She's like, I promise I haven't, I swear.
Yeah.
I still can't like get over her little Jedi Padawan rat tail. Like that always kind of cracks me up.
Weird.
Yeah. But I like, Bruce's kind of trepid, I don't know how to say it, his reluctance to kind of bring this straight forward, and he delivers it in a way that only Michael Keaton kind of can, and he just stares off, and then he's like, somebody comes home and they kiss somebody goodbye and they go and eat breakfast, and she's like, no. He's like, okay. Like he does it in the most Michael Keaton kind of way, where he's just staring off into the middle distance, and it's like, at first you kind of laugh, but then I go, well, man, maybe that's like he's picturing Thomas and Martha. He's picturing like what my parents did. That was a normal life. What I'm doing is not the normal life. Like it's a bit of a sad read on it. But also, how does she not understand what the fuck? Yeah, that's what normal people do. I understand what you mean. Like, she's like, I don't know what you mean. It's like, you don't understand somebody eating breakfast and kissing someone goodbye and going to work. Like, you don't understand that. Okay, never mind. I forgot you're a photographer. Fuck me, I guess. But
easy,
him
easy there.
Oh, fuck you. Oh, Jesus Christ. If you guys want to check out Zoheb Digital Photography.
Oh, fuck off. It's not like you're going to hire me.
Yeah, I like this. He's not able to quite get the words out before Joker shows up and ruins the party, and immediately Bruce gets like his little tray that he slides under his shirt, and it's like, gee, thanks, Bruce. What did you get for Vicky? like where was that other, he's like, oh, I better cover my own ass. I got to be in the sequel. I know.
I didn't even think of that, by the way. That's so funny.
I'll be honest, the scene does feel like a little bit out of place, just seeing Bruce Wayne and Joker have an interaction that's not him as Batman in the nighttime. It is a little odd to me, but I do still like the scene. I think that one of the most terrifying shots of the Joker is when he kind of goes to the fireplace and he throws Vicky over there, and the shot is just on him like looking down, and he's looking up with her, and he's playing with Alicia's mask, and he's like, poor Alicia threw herself off a window. He's like, but you can't make it home without breaking a few eggs. Like, this is when Joker is some of his scariest to me. When he has that look of that look of the boob, like that whole moment really kind of creeps me out. And I gotta admit, when I'm looking at him and he, he's walking out the door and he's like, ah, and does a fart noise and walks off, it's like, there's a little part of me that's like, somewhere there's a universe where Jack Nicholson played Pennywise, and I just can't imagine how terrifying that would be. That would be fucking.
We've got another podcast. I thought we were going to go another podcast without mentioning fucking Pennywise or Stephen King, but here we are.
This is our second Stephen King reference. Thank you very much. But I've always thought that if you can play the Joker, there's probably a pretty good chance you can play, like, Skarsgård would be a great Joker. Like, I think Tim Curry would have been a great Joker, which he almost was in the animated series. Like, there's an audition or some kind of recorded dialogue that he did, but it just didn't work like Mark Hamill.
Skarsgård basically plays the Joker in John Wick Chapter 4. He's such an over-the-top like villain.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
Yeah. Yeah, he's funny.
We get the iconic line, you want to get nuts, let's get nuts. And Nicholson responds in kind. Have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight? Again, such a great line. But it throws Bruce off. I love how fucking crazy and confident he is. And then he goes, what? And he looks at him just like, what the fuck did you just say? It's this, it would be
completely disarms him. Yeah.
yes. It's that thing of like, if you came back and your consciousness was in somebody else's body, how would you convince your wife or somebody that it was you? And it'd be like, okay, do you remember this when you farted and shit your pants and I promised not to tell you? Like, it would be that thing that only the two of you know. I love those moments in movies where the person goes, what are you talking about? Like, the realization it gets me every time. Never rub another man's rhubarb. But basically, Joker pieces out. I love Vicky. She comes back and Bruce is just gone. And I'm like, yeah, Dick, why don't you fucking at least leave a note? Like, Jesus Christ. The scene of him backing out and once you come in for a weep and stuff, that creeps me out still. It's very Kubrick. It just like locks everything dead center and pulls out with him. And it's like, oh God, that creeps me the fuck out. We see, Vicky and Knox finding out about what really happened to Bruce and Martha. We get Joker breaking in again on the television, announcing he's going to drop $20 million at the parade. I love all of this. He like pushes the mayor out of the way and just totally ignores him.
Just the mayor looking to his left, like he's
like he can
there,
actually
like,
see him.
what?
Yeah, that's the goofiest thing. Because I would love if the mayor were just like, he's like looking around and like it shows him just kind of staring at nothing because he's listening. Like, how can you even hear what's going on?
Yeah, I know. Like, you don't have a live feed to what is.
Are you watching this?
But also, if you look in the background, like Harvey Dent and even like the guy behind Harvey Dent on his over his left shoulder, they're all looking in different directions. Like, they're all looking in different directions, dude.
Well, and it's funny seeing Joker
goofy.
on one screen. It does look like he perfectly pushes them off, and on the other one, it's like halfway to the edge. It's like, what are you doing, bud?
Yeah.
Are you sure about that? Are you sure about that?
This is I mean, we got. I'm sure Nolan was inspired by some of this.
Oh yeah.
Because we got 2 like news reports from the Joker or something like that in The Dark Knight, where it's just like, where it's like, look at me.
Yeah.
And,
they play that video, and then he hangs Anthony Michael Hall by his ankles at the end.
Yeah.
But Bruce recognizes him immediately. Watching this at home, somehow he's able to freeze live TV. But he recognizes him immediately and starts going through his parents' case file. I think the young Jack Napier is like one of the best older to younger castings ever. That dude, I think Hugo something is his name, but he's a director now, pretty successful director.
Hugo Strange.
Yeah, there you go, Hugo Strange. But I think this flashback scene is probably one of the best parts of the movie. It feels so much like they don't show it to you like this is an objective flashback, this is what happened. Everything is at these insane angles, and there's so much like shadow and smoke, and you really get the feeling of
it feels very dreamlike, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Is like, it feels like a dream, but it also just kind of feels like Bruce's memory, like the best thing he can, obviously this is probably etched in stone for him, this moment in his life. But the fact that when he's walking with his parents, they're walking perfectly in sync, and then Jack and the other guy come out and they're walking perfectly in sync, and it's just like, holy fucking Dutch angle Batman. Like, they go crazy with some of these angles. But it feels like a David Chase Sopranos like dream sequence. You're like, what the fuck? And everything's like, the frame rate is a little slow and everything's just a little bit off. I really dig it.
Yeah, I mean, like, so you expect to see fucking Tony walking on the boardwalk somewhere, right? Like, I mean, it's so dreamlike, and this is stuck in my head a little bit. Like, I remember the first time I saw this, because this was a fundamental change to what I knew about Batman's parents' death. Like, I did not. I think this movie does a somewhat ballsy move to make Jack Napier the murderer of Bruce's parents. I don't. It's not my favorite take on this story. I don't really love it. Because it makes their encounter a little less.
Makes that world feel small, kind of.
Right. Yeah. But again, man, the use of the shadows, the visual language of this scene is absolutely gorgeous.
Dude, yeah. After the Waynes walk around that corner, and you just see how huge those shadows are on the wall, and it's again seeing Jax in the shadow stepping out with a gun, and like how he does with Grissom at the beginning of the movie, and you see the kind of like similarity. Obviously, that face is one in a million. It's pretty hard to forget a face like that. Um,
One shot I love is the so Jack fires the first shot, right? And then the pearls break and they land over that little puddle. And then he fires a second shot and Martha gets hit and she drops the popcorn and like they sprinkle the popcorn over the little puddle. I just imagine like a little like just someone like sprinkling popcorn over the same like,
Every time Bruce goes, he
uh,
lays down like 2 roses and sprinkles a bag of popcorn, like over
here you
Mara.
go, Mom. I thought you might like this.
Yeah. I definitely dig like the dreamlike quality of it. But
Yeah, the fog.
yeah, but I don't hate that it's Joker's like that it's Joker's doing that. I don't hate it. But it
Oh, as a kid, I loved it.
yeah,
Like I mean, like
sure.
when I first saw it, I loved it. I was like, oh, blown away.
Right. Yeah. But I do prefer that it's like a random criminal, that it's not this like small world.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Did you see
It,
Michael Keaton on Letterman? The clip of him spoiling all of this on Letterman in like
no.
1989, dude.
Oh, that's funny.
It's Michael Keaton, and Letterman's like, so what's the deal with Batman and Joker? And he's like, well, uh, Batman's parents die when he's a young kid, and Letterman goes, and Joker had something to do with that. And he goes, yeah, well, no, I mean, you don't find that out until kind of the end of the movie, and everyone in the crowd goes,
That's so funny.
oh, and it's like, holy shit, now,
He's such a he strikes me as such a Mark Ruffalo type. Someone
yeah,
who's just like, oh yeah, that was supposed to be a secret, right?
yeah, like Tom Holland or something.
Yeah.
Um,
By the way, they're both in Spotlight together. Oh fuck, man, I feel like watching Spotlight.
oh yeah, it's heavy, but it's good. Um,
Mm.
but uh but yeah, we see him kind of after this flashback. Vicky Vale's finally brought to the Bat Cave, um, and she's saying there's got to be. I think there's something here besides just a one night thing. Could we make this work? Are we actually going to try to love each other? I like this, because you need the parts of Bruce Wayne. Like personally for me, my preferred Batman is a Batman who goes, you know what, like, and I think this is definitely in Batman Returns, more so in this, that he goes, Bruce Wayne is the alter ego. Like Batman is who I am. Like that's what I prefer about the second one is Bruce. You can feel a lot more that Bruce Wayne is the mask that he's wearing, and this one not so much. I feel like there's definitely a line drawn between the two. But they kind of have this moment of just her asking him to kind of like let her in, and are we going to do this? Are we actually really going to try? And we get the assault on Access Chemicals. Batman straight up murders like I like 29 people.
Dude,
Like it's crazy.
every time a new movie comes out, a new Batman movie comes out, and people are like, "Oh, but this Batman kills." It's just like, man, like, come on, like, just fucking relax, get off your high horse, like, just enjoy some carnage for
Hmm.
once. And this is awesome, man. This assault on Axis Chemicals is stunning. Like, I mean, like the machine
The
guns coming up
the
as he's driving
miniature
through,
work,
and
like holy shit.
dude, yeah, yeah, like, all of these goons are just using pistols as well. It's like,
Uh
where's the
huh.
RPG? Like,
Nobody
like
has
break
like
out
a
the break out the
9 mil. Everyone rocks like a 6 shot, and I'm like, why?
right, right, exactly.
You have to reload so
Um,
much more, and you're all terrible. You have no accuracy. Like,
I love the bombs coming out of the wheels and him
hmm
basically just dropping it, and then the next shot is yeah the whole structure just blowing up and Batman on his way out. It looks so badass. It looks so badass.
yeah. There's a great shot that's a little bit sped up of him like flying through there, and you can see the flames are moving a little quicker, and it's a weird shot, but I like it. And I feel like this might be one of those things that's like hey, we can't have Batman come in here and fight 30 guys. He's just got to blow this place up, because we got to go. Because yeah, that is kind of interesting. Like I think I don't know, because I don't think Batman really kills anybody in the Batman. I know for sure Batman versus Superman, not really in the Nolan trilogy except for Ra's al Ghul. He doesn't really kill anybody. Catwoman does it for him. That's about it. She fucking shoots him with a gun. I was like, oh,
I'm
sucks.
sure someone dies in the car chase in Batman Begins. Like someone, like I mean, there's so much collateral damage here. Like
he crushes like 4 orphans. Like, oh Jesus Christ.
But I love the revelation that Batman was never in the car. Like that was slick.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, I'll murder dozens of people at a time, but I'm gonna do it from like a RC remote.
Yeah, reminds me of Iron Man 3 when he's saving everyone from the Air Force One explosion, and then like the truck crashes into the suit and blows up into a million pieces, and Tony's controlling the suit virtually from like a boat somewhere.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. But unfortunately, Batman ends up showing up just a little bit too late. Joker escapes. The parade in Gotham commences with, again, a great use of the Prince music for a studio mandate. I think that's really clever. We get this little parade float. Knox and Vicky show up, and they start noticing the gas that's getting poured out. I love Joker's kind of speech. Again, now is the time that I relieve you, you the little people, of your sad and failed miserable lives. You're like, Jesus Christ, man.
Hubba hubba hubba, money money money.
Yeah, that's one of the things I think is like, this is a Joker that is, I don't know, like I don't feel like he's so much of a reflection of society, but he's kind of like he's a bit like the comedian that he's like mocking it. The whole thing of like the clown, and he's just greed, and like I feel like he's kind of a response to that. But I think that it's, even Knox saying that when he gets out of the car, he goes, yeah, look at this, Gotham's greed. Like that's his name for the story. But we get this great scene of Batman and the bat plane snagging up all of the what do you call not puppets, floats,
the balloons. Yeah,
balloons. Thank you. Jesus, I was like trying to think of the fucking Macy's Day Parade bullshit. But the German Gothic like cathedral, and he comes flying by that and whips it down. It's like, man, I think that I think a lot of people now watch something like Batman the Animated Series, and it's their preferred kind of version of Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill, and it was an incredibly good show. But it just really shows you when you see these overhead shots of Gotham, it's like, God damn, that looks just like the animated series. Like it looks just fucking like it to me.
God, dude, the moon shot is
a
thing of beauty. And I think they recreated in the Flash, because there's a trailer that has them all jumping out of the Batwing, and in the background you just see the Batwing like over the moon, and it's it's gorgeous.
And I mean, really, we can kind of take the majority of this whole end scene like for a big bite, because we've got maybe 15 minutes left.
I'll start it. I don't like it.
Oh yeah, you don't like it? You don't dig it?
No, I've never liked this sort of like church thing, whatever. And Joker kind of going out like a bitch. I've always understood that like the Joker is not a physical match for the Batman ever. But I don't know. I just thought like his death was too easy in this. I don't know.
Well, and I think it's interesting because
I do like what happens when he lands. Like that was cool, but
yeah, it's kind of interesting because it's directly because of what Batman does that he, it's like Joker could let go of the helicopter and he would just have to hang by his ankle, or but the fact that he won't let go is really what kills him. And I've never really hated this because. Again, it was just something that was always there. I didn't have, to me, this was just how these movies ended, was like, you in a church way 100 fucking 1,000 feet in the air, and it's so high up and blah, blah, blah. Like, I think at one point, Michael Keaton was talking to Tim Burton, and and he's like, okay, and you're going up the stairs, and Guy Keaton goes, but why though? And he goes, I don't know. And it's like the studio kind of mandated a lot of this at the end, that there had to be this big fight in the church, and like I don't mind it. I think visually it looks incredible. I do love like the visuals of it, the big bell and stuff like that. Like I like the staircase that's kind of falling apart, the one shoe that he drops over the edge. Like I like it, but it does feel like how the X-Men ends in like the Statue of Liberty, just kind of in this one little room. It's like, oh, that's kind of, but I think it's okay for it to end that way, because we've had this insane, the bat plane comes out and snags up the balloons, and it's a big grandiose fight of like Batman shooting at him and him pulling out the revolver and shooting the bat plane down.
The
like
fucking revolver, dude.
So
My
cool.
God.
Like, but it's this great, it's not like it lasts. Like now this scene would be 12 minutes long, and there would be all twists and turns and crazy types of shit that would happen. And I'm not complaining about that. I just think that I think there is something in our brain that like, we're accustomed to, okay, like how Rocky, there's always going to be a fight for the championship in it. Like, what is going to be the big fight of this superhero movie? There has to be some kind of physical altercation. And this does feel kind of small scale to a lot of movies now. He shoots at him with a couple rockets. He shoots the bat plane down, and then they go to the top of the stairs and they punch each other for a little bit. And then that ends. That's basically how it ends. It's like, that's a little anticlimactic. But I don't hate it. I think for Warner Brothers and the studio really shoving their heads up their asses and just getting involved to that degree, I think Burton probably did the best with what he could with those mandates, and I can let it go for that reason. If this were all his creative choices, then I'd be a little bit disappointed. But it's like, if it's being mandated, I think he handled it in the best way possible. How else are you gonna, like, well, if it ends in a church, fuck it, I guess that's what I'm doing, man. I got no other choice. The whole kind of like journey to the top of it, and like that's what I'm saying, like visually I love it. The stairs leading up to it, the giant 2 front doors, after the bat plane crashes. I like the whole thing of like a Joker basically making her dance like the whole time they're up there, and I'm like, God, this is fucked up. Him I think like the bell getting dropped and it blocks the door, and like all the pews, I remember that so well. All the pews like don't, like falling over.
Yeah, he does a fucking Evie from The Mummy.
Yeah. I don't hate a lot of this. I know a lot of people don't enjoy it, but it just because it's like I grew up with it, I probably couldn't be objective about it even if I tried. It feels so natural to me. It's like so in my DNA of superheroes. But yeah, we see basically them kind of going back and forth until I like Vicky again. Like that's one of the few moments that she kind of does take initiative, and she's like, she's distracting him and trying to alley-oop Batman here, and I really dig it. And I gotta admit, I like seeing him beat the shit out of the Joker, like him punching him in the face and just knocking him through all these things. Like I enjoy that, and Batman going, I like the whole thing of Batman going like, I created you, but you created me. And like, I enjoy that. But the fact that like Jack immediately understands he's like, oh wait, I was just a kid when I killed your parents. And it's like, dude, this guy probably killed a lot of people's parents. You're not special, and maybe he doesn't even realize who Bruce is, but there is, I don't know. There's a part of me that if you murdered Bill and Melinda Gates, wouldn't you know it was Bill and Melinda Gates after that long? You would be like, oh shit, like I murdered those two people, like
that was another thing in this movie. Like that, the Bruce Wayne didn't seem as I guess well known as I mean, yeah, there are people at his parties and stuff, but like later then, like he's out on the street and he's kind of like, with the mime scene, right? Like he's just kind of like standing there, and it's like, oh, okay, like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm just complaining, but
No, I definitely feels like in later movies, like what is he saying? Batman Begins. He's like, you're the Prince of Gotham. You have to go 1,000 miles to find somebody who doesn't know your name. And it's like, yeah, this Bruce Wayne just kind of feels like a faceless billionaire in a crowd of many, in this. But the the kind of choice of the Joker just not to let go, to die just because he won't let go of the helicopter. Like, again, bro, if you just let go, you would have lived. So it's kind of like, I don't know. I think this definitely kicked off that trend of we have to kill the villain. And it's like, man, it would have been kind of cool to see Joker get away and live to fight another day. But Gotham now has its faith in Batman because he didn't kill the Joker, but he stopped him. He was able to get him to stop. And like, I kind of like that. Like, I wish they hadn't killed him off so quickly, but I think, yeah, Jack Nicholson's not coming back. Like, Jack Nicholson's never going to do a sequel to this and sit in there in the makeup and everything again. Like, he's not going to do that. I like I said, I don't hate this ending, but I don't particularly, in the grand scheme of like all the finales to superhero movies, it's weak. It's weak compared to a lot of them. Especially something like fucking Watchmen. Like, holy shit, that finale is like, oh my God, it's an incredible comic book ending. But yeah, Joker falls to his death. I can never get the I can't get that out of my head ever. It's been just years of watching this. As a kid, I felt bad for the Joker falling. I was like, Jesus, that's brutal, dude. Like there was always just this thing of people falling 1,000 feet, like GoldenEye, and like someone falling to their death like that in so many movies. It terrified me as a kid.
I kind of I was thinking about like the striking similarity between this finale and the Dark Knight's finale.
Yeah.
With obviously the fight at the top of the tower, and then the Joker kind of being like suspended in midair with Batman's sort of like grappling hook, and
it definitely felt like an homage to this.
It must have been, right? Surely.
Yeah, I think so for sure, because when he falls, I think a lot, like when I first saw it, I go, holy shit, he's going to die like Nicholson. And then that ended up not being the case. And I was like, oh, okay, that definitely felt like a reference. We see Knox and Vale say goodbye. I like this. I feel like they're kind of like Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen. I dig this. She tells him to take care. We received a letter from the Batman this morning. I love that it ends on Billy D. Please inform the citizens of Gotham that Gotham City has earned a rest from crime. But if the forces of evil should rise again to cast a shadow on the heart of the city, call me. And that again, I like that. The fact that you kind of forget that, oh shit, we haven't seen the Bat Signal at all. Like, it hasn't been in this movie, not one bit. And it's like one of the most iconic pieces of lore from Batman. And you forget that it's like, oh fuck, yeah, this hasn't been in this whole movie. I forgot until just now. I was like, oh yeah, there's no fucking bat signal till the end of this thing. I forgot I watched this earlier and turned it off after they got to the cathedral. I was like, yeah, I know it from here. I pretty much remember this. Vicky Vale ends up getting picked up by Alfred. We get that iconic shot of him sitting on the ledge, and that's Batman. I do like the music that's playing, that church bell, that
crescendos.
Oh man, I love the way that ends. But
do we talk about Danny Elfman's score in this movie, dude? Because
no, we haven't. I know
guy
he doesn't
is
really
working.
Yeah, I know he doesn't really like it. From what I've heard, Danny Elfman is not a fan of it after all these years. I think he just had a birthday not too long ago. He's like 70 now. The Danny Elfman of Oingo Boingo, good band if you ever get the chance to see it. But that's Batman, baby. That's it. I know we have some comments on this one, but what do you want to do Batman, first? Comments or thoughts?
Well, let's go comments. We've never gone the other way, so I don't know why you'd fucking ask me a stupid question.
I don't know. I always ask that because I'll be 1,000% honest. I always I'm like, I don't know which one we do first. I'm just here.
All right. Well, I guess I'll. Do you have the comments pulled up, or do you want to?
I'm getting them pulled up right now. Dude, do you think I fucking knew? I think I had comments pulled up if I didn't even know which one we were gonna do first.
That's
you think
true.
do you think
Well,
I'm a professional?
I don't know if you had. I don't know. I didn't even know if you had Facebook pulled up. So okay, here we go.
Okay.
Patrick Harrington, our boy, the group expert, the green rumor extraordinaire,
Our
the
MVP.
OG. And congratulations on your nuptials, man.
Yeah. Congratulations, buddy. Glad to hear that.
That's awesome. That's so cool. Glad you're out of the market and not, killing women or whatever you did.
Yeah.
You did whatever with the Zodiac or something. I love it, Patrick.
Yeah.
He says Batman 89 is a movie that's been in my life since I started watching movies. We had the VHS at my house, and it was part of my rotation as a kid. And then I became a teenager, and I became too cool for it. The narrative in my brain became, quote, this movie kind of sucks, and it's pretty overrated, end quote. It wasn't until I started listening to How Do You Remember that I gave it another shot and really appreciated it more. So much so that I think Keaton is the best actor for both Batman and Bruce Wayne. Some of the dialogue he has is absolutely great. Jack Nicholson is great as the Joker, and Michael Gough is the best on screen. Alfred, what a movie. I'm glad I gave it another chance. Want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
Nice. I love that ending. A good sign off.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Patrick, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah, and speaking of MVPs and top contributors, Jose Rivera, one of the OGs or an original gangster, thank you for commenting. He said, if you mention 1989 to people, there's a good chance the first thing they think of is Tim Burton's Batman. Everyone remembers where they were when Batmania swept the nation. 6-year-old Jose was in all of the Batman merchandise there was. I went with my family to a packed theater to see the movie, and that will always be one of my favorite theater experiences. You'll hear this a lot from people when you talk. You'll hear this a lot from people you talk to when you hear the story of when they saw it. But I was in awe of the ending, the grand music, the sweeping visuals, and that final shot of Batman with his cape flapping as he stands on the roof looking at the bat signal. I think every kid in that moment imagined they were Robin standing right there next to him. Movies changed how they marketed themselves, their tie-ins and merchandise after Batman. I know it was the first time I ever saw people go out of their way to not only buy the soundtrack, but the score to a movie, as everyone wanted to relive Danny Elfman's music. The best part of the movie is the impact it had on kids growing up. From talking with my friends to hearing Chris on Hey Do You Remember talking about how Batman impacted him, it's a movie that meant a lot of things to a lot of people, including a Superman fan like me. It's why so many of us are hyped to see Michael Keaton in The Flash next week. We get to see a part of our childhood again on the big screen. Can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about it. I'm sure it'll be an amazing episode. Thank you, Jose. I really appreciate that. Yeah, definitely excited to see Michael Keaton return. It's been a long time, and it sucks. It literally he hasn't done anything Batman related since 1992. That's way too long for someone who was the first. A film, or not the first, but I think the 1939 one is the first one, but the first modern iteration of Batman, the one that really
he was too busy working at Bed Bath and Beyond.
Right. Yeah, so, guys, got 2 jobs. No, I'm not doing that. Give me your final thoughts.
Yeah, man. Like, I just want to say, thank you so much to Jose and Patrick for your comments, but also both of them recognizing that Hey Do You Remember episode. Is
I could
really
not
is
think
fantastic.
about him.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you are listening to this, Chris Rader, we really appreciate that episode and
absolutely
for sharing some of your personal struggles on that episode. And if anyone has any time after this episode to go check it out, and if you want to compare the quality of ours compared to the quality of that episode, go check out Hey Do You Remember. But anyway, so closing thoughts. Solid movie, man. There's no denying the culture this had on pop culture. It's just absolutely, it's kind of overwhelming, when you make a pick like this and you're just like, damn, like, how do we cover this? This has been covered by so many outlets and in so many better ways. that it kind of becomes like shit. Like the only thing that I can really do is just kind of give my thoughts on how I feel about the movie. I'm not going to come
Hmm.
in with like all this trivia and stuff because it's what it's
It's so
19
well
it's
documented.
it's yeah, it's so well documented and it's so well covered. That yeah, I'm not a fucking teacher. What do you want from me? um,
Yeah, yeah, right. Yeah, there's so
but
many people that have covered it so much better than we have, and it's like, I
right,
just to even add to that pile, it's just like spitting in the wind, or like
absolutely.
pissing in a pond.
I'm not the biggest fan of Tim Burton. I'm just gonna go and say it because, I think I said this in the Big Fish podcast. Like his sensibilities don't really line up with my
Hmm.
interests, but I think he was like perfect for this version of Batman at this time. Like, I mean, the gothic nature of it, the use of the shadows. I mean, where to like light, what to light, and how,
Hmm.
is perfect. And then the choice to cast someone like Michael Keaton, who was this like sort of like everyman, who can just like play Batman in this like very straightforward way. He's got a very light touch, but he's very mysterious at the same time. And the casting of Jack Nicholson, kind of like at the height of his powers, like post 9 years after The Shining. And he's this like terrifying villain, but he's also weirdly hilarious. And he kind of like you just can't take your eyes off him. He's like a train crash,
Hmm. Yeah.
He's got so much charisma. Yeah, man, and I think like the third MVP is Anton First.
Hmm.
Like the other thing you think about when you think about these first two films is the production design. It's absolutely stunning. So yeah, man, solid movie. A little dated now, I think, but nonetheless, still very important. And we would not be in our culture in terms of superhero movies without it. And I did see a quote from Tarantino the other day, and he was like, modern cinema is currently in its worst phase ever." And I'm just like, man, yeah, look, I get it, right? For a
Hmm.
guy like him who is, 70 millimeter film is like the way to go, and I own the new Beverly, and everything is shown in film, whatever.
Hmm.
Like,
Hmm.
I get it, right? Like for filmmakers like him and Martin Scorsese, who call movies out like this all the time. Like I completely understand because the superhero movies are taking away business from your projects. I completely understand. But there's no denying that there are some absolute gems in these superhero movies.
Right.
Like, like
Yeah.
the I like some like I can make a curated pick of all of the movies in phase 3 and pick maybe my top 10 and tell you a fantastic story from like Iron Man to Endgame, like cutting out like maybe
Hmm.
trimming some fat, right? So yeah, man, I'm internally grateful for this movie and to Tim Burton for this movie.
Hell yeah, same here as well. I think that, like you said, it's definitely not a perfect movie. Parts of it do feel a little dated at times. It's super campy, which is something I don't think we even really touched on yet. Was just how campy this movie felt. It was bright and loud and proud and just all kind of like. On the extremes all the time. Either it was really drab and these grays and dark colors, or it was just this like unholy kind of neon. But I think it did a really good job of fleshing out Batman. Not so much Bruce Wayne. I don't really feel like there's a shit ton of like time for Bruce Wayne in this. I know that was one of Keaton's biggest complaints about the first two. Is he's like, I really want to get into Bruce Wayne more, and he's like, I'm great with. With Batman and everything, but I want more of like the Bruce Wayne kind of feel to the character. And I think that it definitely it walked so many other superhero films could run. And I think I would say I'd probably, I don't know, a solid 7.5, 8 out of 10 for this. Like I still think a lot of it holds up. But it could definitely it could definitely use like a facelift in terms of like, yeah, it'd be really cool to see this like remastered or fit for like go see this in a modern cinema and just see it get a touch up. I think would be really cool. But guys, that's going to be it for us. I had a lot of fun talking about this. I know it's a lengthy bastard. Knew it probably would be, considering it's Batman and all. But we hope you enjoyed it. If this is your first time checking us out, stop a rate and review us on iTunes. It always helps out the show tremendously. And again, that Patreon is patreon.com/Midnight Double Feature. We got 70 episodes up there. We're about to record Holes, based on the book by Louis Schar, I think is his name. I can't remember. But the Shia LaBeouf movie, we're about to go jump over on the mics and cover that. That's going to be a lot of fun, and we hope to see you guys over there. Zoe, you got anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
No, I got nothing. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Guys, thank you so much. We'll catch you on the next one. Bye.